Hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. I think I'm still muted, but let me see. Hold on, I'm gonna have to figure this out. So I'm unmuted on Discord. Michael, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good, man. What's
All
up?
right, good, good. Nothing much. I'm just making sure everyone can hear you. Can you guys hear Michael, by the way? I think I have Discord turned up. Michael, can you just say hello?
Hey, what's up,
All right,
everybody?
beautiful. I think they can hear you. Welcome in, everybody, to a very exciting night, man. It's the first episode of our new venture. Of course, you guys know Mykal87, a really good friend of the channel. And I'm, of course, H2. And we've been planning this for a while, so it's kind of surreal that today is the day. Michael's kind of quiet. Okay, I'm going to turn it up. But yes, we are here for the first ever episode of Talk Footy to Me, which is our podcast, Everything Football, as suggested by the name. I will let Michael introduce himself for those of you that don't know who he is, and then we will kind of discuss what the podcast is about and what we can expect moving forward.
Thank you for the wonderful H2 intro. I appreciate you, my guy. You're a lovely man. You're
Thank you.
a legend and a scholar. I'm Mykal87, for those of you guys who don't know me from H2's channel, or those of you guys who are going to be watching this on YouTube. I stream a ton of basically anything sports related. Recently, it's been a lot of Football Manager, but anything sports related, I dip my toes into. Apparently, I'm still a little quiet.
Yeah, I turned you up all the way on Discord and maxed on OBS. Is there any way you can turn up just a little for your output on Discord? Not too much though, because you're maxed on both.
Okay. Yeah.
Of course, guys, this is the first episode, so we're just like, I think everything's going pretty smoothly so far for what we anticipated, but there's going to be little things that we need to figure out.
So I am maxed out on my side.
Can you guys hear him now when he talks?
That is fully maxed out on my side.
All right.
Let me hold on. Actually, is that any better?
Oh, that is loud. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Okay, there we go.
Is that better, guys?
All right. So, as I was saying, though,
there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Kinks, we're working out the kinks.
Exactly.
But I stream a bunch of sports related content. I'm a huge Timbers fan, father of two. So I stream when I can, and I hang out with a lot of good people and make good decisions about their lives and their content that they put out, and hence that's why we're here. So that's the brief rundown. I don't want to get too much into it,
Yeah.
Because we spent a couple hours the other night having a live story chat. So
yeah, exactly. I think you guys probably know pretty well, both of us. But again, like for those of you on YouTube that don't know, we are of course both football manager streamers, but more than that, we are pretty like-minded people. And we love the sport of football or soccer, whatever you call it, but we love the sport and we love connecting.
Soccer.
Yeah, soccer. Hashtag it's soccer, not football. But we love connecting with people over the sport, and so we want to build a community, both of our communities, where it's just exactly like a safe space, like Michael said. And so today is kicking that off. So the way we're gonna do things, guys, is we're going to work things out as we go, obviously, and your feedback is always welcome, more than appreciated. But our idea for this first episode was obviously talking about things that are relevant in the soccer world right now, which is the transfer window, movements that have happened, kind of a little preview of the season, not without getting into too much like predictions and stuff like that on this episode. We're just going to have a general look. We have an agenda, but we're going to keep it pretty just laid back conversation style. And then eventually the plan is to get some, grassroots soccer people on the show for interviews, just to learn more about what it takes to build the sport up from the ground up. Michael, as he said, is a Timbers fan from Portland. I live in Calgary, Alberta myself, so I've started getting into the Canadian Premier League recently, with Cavalry FC being my team. So it would be cool if we could kind of create a community there where we can, bring local people in. If you want to expand on that, Michael.
Yeah, one of the I'm excited selfishly, because one of the first interviews that I lined up is going to be the when it happens is going to be the thing. But we lined up the director of Capital City Atletico Football Club, which is the local club here for me. Which they have a 10-year plan to break into the USL and maybe the MLS, but I think they're going to be a USL at best team, just because of where the Timbers are located. But so we're going to talk to him, and he has basically taken over. He took over what was a program that was basically dying, and he's turning it into this grandscape idea. So we're going to get to talk to him about his networking, what it takes to start something from the ground up, how you recruit coaches, how do you help your coaches recruit players, how do you get the funding. So we're really going to be able to talk to him about a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that a lot of players may not, or a lot of fans may not know. Because how often do you get to sit down and talk with the director of any football club, let alone one that has huge plans? So I'm excited for that. I know H2, you're working on getting Tommy on the show, right?
That's the big
The
plan,
big
yeah.
man in Canada.
That's the thing. Tommy Wheeldon Jr., for those of you guys that don't know, is an absolute legend in Calgary. And actually, Michael's come across him through the NASL, I think.
You could say that. You could say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. So we have some fun stuff planned for the future, guys. But of course, that is all in for works, like, things that we're going to work on in the future. For today, basically, like I said, we have somewhat of an agenda of some things we want to talk about. The way it's going to work, so we're still trying to work out exactly, how we're going to do this. So with chat being here, obviously we love to interact with you guys. Obviously your feedback and your comments are always welcome, but we will be sticking to kind of some of the things that we wanted to talk about. You guys are more than welcome to throw your input and your opinions in there, and we would love to hear from you guys in terms of what you think about some of the stuff that we are going to talk about. So I think with that being said, if you're good to start, Michael, I think I'm good to start. And I think when we look at where we are in the transfer season and where we are with the season coming up so quickly, the first thing that we had on our agenda is Barcelona.
They have money.
They have money, and where is this money coming from? Yeah,
It's monopoly money, but they have it, right?
it's Spotify money. So I think when we
True
look at
Spotify money.
it's Spotify money. I mean, and we look at all these names that have been thrown around with Barcelona, and even just today, as a Chelsea fan, Jules Koundé is supposedly a step away from Chelsea, and then at the last second, he decides to join his team for preseason in Portugal after saying he wouldn't, because he is under the impression that Barcelona is going to get a second lever, these levers. So Michael, what's your thoughts on this whole thing? What is Barcelona doing? How are they getting this money? And why are players still so eager to go there, even though no one knows what the hell is going on?
That's the what, $100 million question right now.
More than.
If I'm looking at it, 113.3 million US dollars is that question right now. So nobody knows. I mean, I know Spotify gave him a big chunk of cash as an undisclosed deal as far as I can find. So, Spotify being one of the biggest companies in the world, maybe they just splash the cash, you know what I mean? Like, how much what we have been seeing a lot of is every shirt that Barcelona's released now has Spotify on it.
100%.
I mean, the players, polos, the coaches, the coaches' jackets. How long until it's Camp Spotify instead of Camp Nou? You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure they're already doing that. I'm pretty sure they're calling it the Spotify Camp Nou, which is so ridiculous because when you think about Camp Nou, it's such a historic stadium. I've been lucky enough to go there this year, actually, and it has so much history. But then now they're literally, like Spencer says, money printer go burr. I mean, they're selling their soul in a way. One thing I want to... They had to, exactly.
Devil went down to Barcelona,
Devil went down to Barcelona and they signed the deal. The biggest thing I want to kind of touch on here is, like, nobody really knows what is going on, right? So we all see these articles about how they're restructuring their finances and leveraging their future TV rights or whatever. But at the end of the day, we don't really understand what's going on. And the thing that I kind of want to talk about is, as a player, when you hear Frankie de Jong is owed that loyalty bonus, like you said, Michael, when you hear that, like, Piqué was owed a bunch of money, it's like, why are these players like Rafinha, like Kessie, like Lewandowski, what makes them so sure that they're even going to get their wages? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, that was the interesting thing I saw on Twitter. Somebody replied to one of Fabrizio's tweets and said that one of the reasons that de Jong doesn't want to leave United is not only the fact that United has a lot of things going on in their own right, but he's owed, I think it was over or close to 20 million in
Bonuses.
That if he left now, he wouldn't get paid because they still owe him that money. And, if you leave, are you ever going to see that money? So some of the players they did bring in loans, but as I said earlier, like, they're at $113 million spent right now, with only bringing in 25 million on the players that they've sent out. Just in one season for a team that's broke, how do you have a negative of 88 million? And you're still, as you said earlier, how are you still trying to buy players like Koundé? Like, they're trying, what was it, 45 million or something they tried to offer him?
Or 55, even more.
55, yeah.
That's crazy. And, like, when I see the players they're bringing in, I don't understand what the strategy is. So they already have Dembele re-signing, right? They have a plethora of forwards. They have Ansu Fati, they have Ferran Torres, they have all these guys. Yes, Adama Traore went back to Wolves, but I mean, for me, their glaring hole is in defense, and it seems like they've gone out and made these luxury signings of Lewandowski, Kessie. Let's be realistic. Christensen is a defensive signing, but he's not really Barcelona talent, Barcelona quality, I would say. So it's like, what is their structure? What do you think their plan is, Michael? Like, what are they trying to build over there?
I have no idea. I mean, the only defender that they've actually officially announced so far is Christensen on a free. And as a Chelsea fan, you'll know that Christensen isn't I'm going to carry the back line material. You know, he's not. I mean, he's a solid defender. I think he's one of the players who's better for his national team than he is probably at the club level. I think the way he plays for Denmark has probably carried a lot of his reputation. But he's 26, so I mean, they do have that positive going for him. You did sign somebody who's 26 years old, who's going on a free transfer, so there is a benefit there. But I do think that that's their glaring weakness. I mean, they have Araujo who's played center back and a little bit of right back. They tried to have Dani Alves, who played a couple different positions. So, and they're still linked to Azpilicueta. They're still linked to Marcus Alonso. So I feel like, and they're still linked to Koundé. So I feel like they know as well that the back line is their weakness. But how deep does this endless money well go? How many, as you said earlier, how many players believe in the hype that they will get the money at the end of the day? You know, and we also have to worry about, we're reaching to the end of the transfer window. So do they have to play half a season with half a back line? So,
and looking at it too,
I don't know.
They also let Langley, however you want to call it, go on loan to Tottenham. Exactly. Newman
with
makes
option to buy, I think,
with option to buy. Exactly. So Newman makes a good point. He says poorly run clubs seems like they're making short-term plans to survive and succeed, but doesn't see a strong financial future. But he doesn't see a strong financial future for them, and that's a good point. Before I throw it over to you, Michael, I just want to make this one point. It is crazy to see the pull that Barcelona still has. Like, we know South American players dream of playing at Barcelona or whatever, but it is insane that a club that is being memed by the entire footballing world still holds so much weight in players' minds. Like, Robert Lewandowski is a legend, and the fact that he has no problem going there, you know, it just shows Barcelona has a lot of pull still.
I think the Lewandowski one for me should have an asterisk next to it. And I think that's because for me, he would have gone there on a free transfer. Once he got snubbed for the Ballon d'Or, which # deserved, he deserved it.
In case you guys don't know, Michael is a Bayern Munich fan.
But I think once he got snubbed on the Ballon d'Or, he wants to go and prove that he can be as dominant in another league. Yeah. Which to me, if that was what you're out to prove, do you really go enjoy Barcelona? Yeah. But you know, it's crazy. Like, the players know that when you go to Barcelona, you put that shirt on, that badge on the front is more important than your name on the back. And it's one of few clubs in the world that still have that pull. Yep. As you're saying, Real Madrid comes to mind, Bayern comes to mind.
You think of a team like Milan, which is so historic, but even they are still not. But you know, both the Milans, but even then, they're not seeming to have the same kind of pull as. I mean, Kessie just left from Milan to Barcelona, so it's undeniable that Barcelona and Real are probably the top two most revered clubs for a lot of these players.
I think one thing you have to take into account with that too is that Spain doesn't have a lot of the restrictions that other leagues would. Yeah. The Spanish, or the league, and the restrictions for Spain is basically just a money restriction. There's no, like, the foreign player restriction is basically non-existent. So whereas you look at Italy, has one of, as terms of, especially in top 5 leagues, has one of the roughest new player registration rules that you can. They're basically limited to European players only.
Yeah. Also, Spencer has a really good point here. He says, did you guys see the picture of Rafinha with Barcelona posters all over his bedroom? I haven't seen it, but I can imagine that's exactly it. These kids grow up idolizing Barcelona, Real Madrid, and then when it comes time for that, it's undeniably their dream move. I mean, even Rudiger.
Is that the other thing? Is Xavi's the manager now? How many of these kids grew up with Xavi on their wall, and now
that's it? That generation.
Same thing with Zidane. When Zidane was at Real Madrid, you had these players that were like,
Hazard,
all the French players,
and Hazard,
Touch Munet, Camavinga. They were like, I want to go play for. Well, maybe not Touch Munet because Zidane was gone, but you know, how much of that weighs in on a player's mind when he goes to play somewhere. Like, for me, Xavi, he definitely had a better second half of his tenure because he only had basically half a season anyways. But how much of it, like, as a player, do you want to go and play for Xavi, who, if you're looking at Lewandowski, Xavi's 11 years older than him. Yeah. So there's not like a playing career between the two of them like you would normally have, right?
100%.
So how much of it, that could also be a risk to the factor, though. How much of it becomes, are these players going to at some point reach a level of they no longer respect this manager because they played in the same World Cup 10 years ago?
Very good point. Very good point. Looking at Newman's comment, good comments, but it's probably a topic we'll probably have to tackle in its own, because that is a really deep comment, Newman. But he says, if it was any other club, they'd be banned, fined, etc. At what point do sports governing get involved? I mean, if you can't, so that's a really good topic.
Well, That's the other thing, right? Like they're what did they say? 88 million currently in the negative for this season. Financial fair play is gonna. I mean, FIFA's got to look at that, right? At some point, not only are you in the negative, but so get rid of the governing bodies and stuff like that, and like, but at what point does FIFA be like, are you guys actually turning profit at this club, or
Take a look at it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's insane. But yeah, really
the other
good.
thing is Spain, like the Spanish Federation. At one point, do they start looking at it and being like, hey, you know what I mean? Like this is because that could get involved with interfering with a lot of their progress and a lot of their involvement. So there's a lot of behind the scenes things that I don't think we're going to see until it explodes in everybody's faces.
And that's the question, is when that happens. And I think when it happens, it's going to be nasty. Or
Are they?
sure.
So before we move on to the next subject, is Barcelona in a situation where they have to get a double or treble or they fold?
You would imagine so. I mean, sponsorships only get you so far. At the end of the day, it's about prize money. And if you're not bringing in that European prize money, if you're not bringing in, I mean, I would say European prize money over league money anyways, right? Like league money is good, but for a club of Barcelona stature, it has to be about success in Europe. Can they do that with this squad? I don't think so. You know,
that's gonna be the question. Like, because I mean, if you look at a lot of the starters that they brought in,
exactly,
that are gonna have to play,
exactly,
that they're gonna take a quarter of a season to mesh, and by that time you're already playing group stages in the UCL.
Exactly.
Not to mention you have this huge winter break now because of the FIFA corrupt World Cup.
Yeah.
So, for me, I think I think you have to double as Barcelona, or you're looking at a lot of heads rolling.
What Spencer just said is exactly what I was talking about yesterday with somebody. Barcelona probably feels somewhat invincible, like nobody would allow our club to fold. So in Canada, our banks are backed by the government, and the actual rule that is in place for that is too big to fail. And that is exactly how I think Spencer hit it on the head. I think Barcelona has this sense of nobody's going to let Barcelona disappear. It's such a historic club. And even their Laporta, I think, right? Is Laporta the guy? He has this air of like arrogance where it's like, just wait until our levers are in place and then we'll show you who the hell we are. So I think there's this huge sense of ego.
I did see a thing that the Barcelona is so far in debt from what we know. That Cristiano Ronaldo could buy Barcelona.
Unreal. Not a good look.
That's how. I mean, that's one, how much money he has, and two, how much debt that they're in.
Insane.
But that's where I was getting to my point, though, with the Spanish Federation getting involved. Like, at what point do you get so far in debt that the Federation has to basically do a buyout and then you get moved? I don't think they'll ever leave Barcelona, and I don't think the team name will ever change. But I think you're looking at probably a hostile takeover at that point, where
it's like a forced a necessity almost.
I would love to hear Barcelona fans' take on it too. Because a lot of the Barcelona fans' reactions I see on Twitter and social media and Reddit,
very defensive.
It's well, they gloss over it with "Don't care, we signed this player. Don't care, we signed this player." Call us Barcelona, but look at all the players we're signing. It's like, when this blows up, what's your reaction going to be? Is it going to be "I told you so" the whole time, or is it going to be hashtag not my Barcelona, or like? And also, how long is this owner / manager or director of football operations like gonna be safe?
Ruined the relationship with arguably their most important player in the history of the club. I mean, I would say
the most important.
Yeah.
In football, not just the club, but
no, exactly.
That's crazy.
But yeah, anything else you want to add on this topic?
No, I think we buried Barcelona more than their financial debt.
Yeah, literally. All right, good. We'll move on. So the next thing we had that we wanted to talk about, and this doesn't signify much, but it's just interesting to look at, taking a look at which clubs have been spending so far in the transfer window and what they've spent. Interestingly, if you're looking at the same page that I'm, Michael, so we check out transfermarket.com, and I will actually put the link in chat for you guys if you want to click
.us,
on
by the way, not .com.
Is it .us? Okay, well, I'm .com. Anyways,
is it?
Anyways, I just put it in chat if you guys want to click on that link, and it'll show you what we're looking at. By the way, Spencer says looking forward to FM25 with Barcelona in the 4th tier. LOL. Okay.
Yo, that could happen. Like, they get taken over, they get demoted because they
Barcelona
have to work their way
road to
back.
glory.
Second tier of Spanish football with 200 million transfer budget.
Yeah. All right. So if you guys click the link that we shared, interestingly enough, this has changed in the last couple of days. So Bayern Munich tops the list with the highest expenditure, and Michael and I were
Really?
kind of talking about this because, like I said, he is a Bayern Munich fan, so I'll probably let him run with this a little more. But for Bayern to spend as much as they did on someone like De Ligt, and Michael, you can probably touch on this. They don't do that very often. You don't see these
No.
huge numbers with Bayern. So touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, Bayern Munich are not gamblers. They, especially the way the German rules are in the in Bayern and Bundesliga, excuse me, you can't really gamble on players anymore in Germany, especially with Bayern. Like, yes, they do have money. Like, there's no doubting that they are one of the richest clubs in the world, but you don't see them consistently spending, excuse me, sorry, a ton of money every transfer window, especially on one player. You may see them spend 75 million, 100 million in a transfer window, but it's usually them bringing in
Spread out.
15, 20 players, and a good chunk of them are going on loan because they know that they're going to develop. But when you go when they spend money like they did on De Ligt, that tells you that, one, he is one of the best players in the world and is being valued as such, but two, that they know the type of player they're going to get for that money. And it showed. If you watched the friendly that he played on DC United, he flew in the morning of the DC United game, by the way. Comes on the
Played
field
the same day.
has a phenomenal defensive performance, and then he scores a wicked volley on the back post with his weak foot, by the way.
With his weak foot.
So he's a menace on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
And I think that he's gonna. So they're losing Sula. They lose Sule on a free. Sule,
Yeah.
Sul, however you want to say it. I say Sule, but
Yeah, Sule.
they lost him on a free. So you're now looking at a player who's going to give you more offensively.
Yeah.
I think Sule didn't. He's tall, but he didn't really contribute a ton offensively, and he wasn't very comfortable with the ball at his feet. He could dribble forward, but he wasn't the great at distribution. De Ligt is a cam who can play center back.
Yeah,
basically.
100%.
Like, if you wanted him to play number 9, he'd do it for you. If you wanted him to play a 7 or 7 out wide, he could do it. The guy is amazing.
Yeah.
And that tells you something. But you also look at a lot of the other players that Bayern have bought in. I think that they're a scarier team than they were with Lewandowski. And it hurts me to say it because they still don't have a true number 9. But
So Sadio Mane comes in, Gravenberch comes in from Ajax, Mazraoui comes in from Ajax as well. I think Mane brings a
who
dynamic.
you're a big fan of.
Yeah, exactly. I love both. I love all the signings so far. Also, guys, in case you didn't know, there is a poll on the channel. Will De Ligt justify the transfer fee spent on him by Bayern? There's a few seconds left if you want to put your input in there. But I think, like you said, especially the signing of Sadio Mane, such a fluid player. And with Lewandowski, you knew you were going to get goals. But it was...
Yep.
It was like, get the ball to Lewandowski and let him score in a way. Now with Mane, it adds this element of just absolute mayhem across that front line with guys like Sane, with guys like Gnabry, right? So I think it's, in a way, they've taken Lewandowski's departure and really built up a decent, very good squad for the next few years, I would say.
Yep.
And again, very un-Bayern like to splash the cash on one player like they did with De Ligt, but it looks like, according to the poll, which is just ending, 100% of people agree that De Ligt will indeed justify the fee spent on him.
Well, it's a smart move, too, because De Ligt's 22 years old, by the way.
Very young.
People forget about that because he plays like
22.
He's 22 years old. He brought in a $73 million US dollar fee. They bought a center back who is going to be elite. He's going to be that next Philip Lahm.
Yeah.
He's going to be the next, he's going to be the next Kimmich. Like, he's going to be that person who's in a Bayern Munich jersey probably for the rest of his career now.
And
especially because with Germany being so close to home for him in Amsterdam.
That's what I'm going to say. And the biggest thing with him is it sounds like he was desperate to go there. Chelsea flirted with it for a little bit. Barcelona flirted with it. And his heart was always set on Bayern, according to every single, report that there was.
Well, yeah, the rumor of the offer came out. 2 days later, we got the "Here we go" from Fabrizio.
It was instant.
It was the minute he got a contract offer from them, as soon as Juve accepted the deal.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep.
I'm actually really surprised that they were able to keep it under $100 million. I thought easily, especially with his age and his quality, it'd be $100 million transfer. But at 73 million, I think that is going to be a long term. I think we're going to look back at this deal and be like, how the hell did De Ligt only go for $70 million?
Exactly. No, for sure. Catching up on what you guys are seeing in chat. Eric, welcome in, buddy. He said De Ligt had an awesome goal. He did indeed. Newman touching on Mane's quality. He says Mane is quality. I honestly think he was underrated because of how good Salah has been at Liverpool, so almost overshadowed by him. Fantastic signing for Bayern. Exactly. I think it's going to be amazing to see him, play a more star type of role. He is a star in the Premier League, obviously, but you know what I mean. Like, I think there are a lot of great players at Bayern Munich, and he's not going to be the star, but I don't think there's one person who, like, Bayern is a great team all around the pitch. There's not going to be, Liverpool is as well, but it was about Salah moving forward, right? What I'm trying to say with Mane is Lewandowski's gone. Now Sadio Mane will carry a lot of responsibility.
Well, that's the interesting thing is if they keep true to what they have currently,
Yeah.
in theory, I think Nagelsmann's going to do like a rotational front three, where with Lewandowski in the middle, and I know you and I talked about this a little bit last night, but with Lewandowski in the middle, a lot of times what they did was he occupied the middle of the field. He didn't really go out wide a ton. He would drop deep a little bit to hold up play, but he occupied a lot of the middle of the field. If you look at his heat map, he didn't really go wide a ton. And he was basically like a target forward. Whereas now with Mane, if you want to start Mane or Gnabry or Coleman or Sane
Options.
up front, actually, let me make sure Sane hasn't left yet because I know he was rumored to leave.
Yeah,
but,
I kept dropping his name, but I should make sure he.
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah.
I don't even think he played for us in the friendly. I don't remember seeing his name, but either way, you have these rotational three forwards now who are basically all the same player.
100%.
Which sounds terrible. And like if this was an FM thing, you'd be like, why the hell do I want three of the same player? But in real life, you're gonna have these three players now who can rotate just in like a diamond format almost. Because what they're probably gonna do is also keep Mueller at the cam spot, and he's also can play forward. He can play out in the wide wings. So now you have this diamond at the top of your formation that can rotate, who are all good in the air, who all have phenomenal speed, who can all pick out a great pass / cross, who can finish from distance. I think we may see Mane listed as a striker a lot, but don't be surprised if he scores from the left. Don't be surprised if he assists from the right. I think it's going to be interesting. Now, the other thing as well is that Bayern have been linked to Harry Kane a little bit. That's been floating around. The interesting thing with the Harry Kane rumor is that they've never flat out denied the Harry Kane rumor. I don't think that'll ever happen because when's the last time you've seen a big English name move to
Germany? Yeah.
But Osimhen,
Victor Osimhen from Napoli. One. Yeah, he's yeah.
But will we see that now? That's the question for me because like we talked about, like we started this conversation with, they don't spend a ton of money on one player, let alone two in the same window.
100%.
So are we going to see that happen? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think this is probably going to be a feel it out season.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably see a big splash next season, and especially with some of the young players still coming up. Osimhen, Isaac is my pick if I had to put money on it. I think next season we probably see one of those players go, and maybe we see a big name that comes up on a free.
Yeah, 100%.
So
I just want to touch on, we have a first time message. Welcome in, buddy. AJT_HD. He says, I have a hot take, but I was arguing with a friend about it. Fans are used to the FM/FIFA way of viewing potential, where players naturally, in quotes, get better until they turn an arbitrary age and don't view it from an experience standpoint. Not to play devil's advocate for the sake of it, but De Ligt has nearly 250 plus caps at the top level, even though he's only 22. How much more room does he have to grow? I will touch on this, and then Michael, you can take it if there's something you want to add. Great point, AJ. Thank you for dropping in with that. The thing that stands out to me is there's not necessarily bringing in De Ligt because he will grow, but bringing in because he is someone that will give you years of the highest quality of football that you can expect. The fact that he's 22, I don't think they look at him and say, oh, he's one for the future. I think they say, okay, this guy is elite at 22. If he can keep up even 80% of this quality for the next 13, 14 years until he's 35, 36, that is an elite center back or player for that extended period of time. So it's not necessarily about the fact that they brought him in viewing him as one for the with high potential. He may very well have peaked already, but his peak is good enough to be elite for X amount of years. And the only other point I wanted to make, when you look at who they've brought in, the average age of their transfers in, obviously Mane is a little older, but 22 De Ligt, 20 Gravenberch, 24 Mazraoui. So they're looking at players that they know they can keep around for a while and are ready to play at this level. It's not like they're going to be developing them and expecting them to, necessarily reach like a super high ceiling that they aren't already at. It's just they know they will get many years out of them. I don't know if you want to add anything, Michael.
Yeah, no, I think you raised good points. Like he and AJ raised good points too. He does have a ton of experience at the top flight, and the big thing to me that also makes this such a lucrative deal is who's he been playing with the last couple seasons.
Yeah,
Just some casual Euro winning, World Cup winning, Scudetto winning, Coppa Italia winning.
yeah.
How many triples do Chiellini and how many doubles and Bonucci? Like the players that he was able to
Absorb.
be next to, be behind, spend years of developing behind. That, I mean, we have probably Juve to thank, excuse me, that he is the player he is now. I do still think he can improve a little bit. I think defensively, I think he can be a little bit more composed. I think Juve definitely raised him to be more of like a sweeper center back because he was covering for a lot of the lack of pace in Bonucci and Chiellini. And so a lot of the times he, rather than making a sensible pass or making a more sensible decision, he kind of just panics a little bit. So I think he can grow some composure
And refine his game maybe a little more, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to see, like, if you want to, let's put it, because I know AJ referenced like the FIFA and FM kind of way of thinking about it. If he is a, if you want to put it that way, I'm not saying he's a 4-star going to grow into like a 5-star type of player. He's obviously like a 5-star player right now.
Yeah.
But you're going to see a lot of little fine tuning and adjustments that are still going to make him even better.
100%.
I mean, we're looking at two World Cups probably minimum out of him still.
Yeah. More, I would argue.
I think probably once Kimmich steps out of Bayern Munich's jersey, I think De Ligt's probably next up for captain.
Yeah.
If he keeps up, because he's captain Juve.
Yeah.
He shows that he has the leadership qualities. You look at him when he was in Ajax, like going to the supporter section, leading chants.
At the balcony. Yeah.
Like he has the leadership qualities.
100%.
So it's crazy to think that this kid's only 22 years old.
Insane.
It's scary to think that he's only 22 years old.
That's what it is that you look at him and you say, and exactly, AJ says captain Ajax at 19. So they know exactly what they're getting. And I think the fact that he's 22 is just a complete added bonus. I don't think they go into this thinking, De Ligt is a guy that is going to get so much better. He's only 22. It's like there's just a few things we can refine, a few things we can clean up, but he's already elite. I would say he's an elite center back. So, yeah, really good points.
I'll be surprised if he ever reaches the last year of his contract. Until he's 30 plus.
Anything else you want to add on that? That kind of shifts nicely into our next topic that we have on here too.
There is off the Bayern thing.
Yep.
And I know we have an episode where we're gonna deep dive into the MLS, but you look at Bayern has sent 3 of their players to develop in MLS.
Tell me more.
There's also other teams that have been sending players to MLS to develop.
Okay.
I think we're getting away from, and again, we'll deep dive into this in another episode, but I think we need to start considering that MLS is no longer
it's a viable, very much viable option for development and growth. 100%. We'll talk on that. Yeah.
Just ask Chelsea fans,
100%. Shut up. All right. Ask Everton fans. All right.
Oh, true.
So moving on then, similar realm that we're living in, Ten Hag and what he's doing at United. We wrote our bullet point as Ajax 2.0 question mark. Lisandro Martinez joins. He brings in. I know that the left back Tyrell, whatever his name is, Malacia. I think he came from PSV if I'm not mistaken, right? Feyenoord, sorry. So he's bringing in Dutch people, of course, but Eriksen was a former Ajax player. Ten Hag didn't manage him, I don't think. But bottom line is his recruitment is pretty Dutch heavy and with a few people that have played for Ajax. Will his idea of football, we've seen the training videos, him screaming and ripping players apart, all of that. True. Will his philosophy of Ajax 2.0 almost work in the Premier League? Michael, if you want to start that off.
I think so here's my thing is I think Ten Hag needs to have high expectations or high dreams but low expectations. And I
100%.
say that because he's dealing with the Ronaldo drama. CR7 wants to leave. Ten Hag openly said, "I planned around him. I want him to be a part of my team." So he has to deal with that. He's got to deal with superstar drama, and he hasn't even played a regular season game yet. And like you said, he's recruiting a lot of players who he's either worked with very recently, or has dealt with in the past.
Mm-hmm.
He typically runs a 4-3-3, which has shown, if you look at Liverpool, if you look at Man City,
Yep.
does do well against especially defensive teams who line up with 5 at the back. So I think if he can get his players to buy in and get players to be the players of Manchester United past, where, remember earlier we talked about, you put that shirt on, the badge is more important than your name.
100%.
If he can get players to live that way again, I think so.
Yeah.
But I think Manchester United fans need to have patience, because I don't think it's this year. I don't.
No, I think it takes time, and I think we've seen that, even with someone like Conte, which isn't even similar, but someone that is known for coming in and making an impact in his first season. He struggled a bit with the first year at Tottenham. So I think, a lot of these managers come in with an idea of how they want to play, and then they kind of have to adjust according to what's in front of them. I think it'll be interesting, it sounds like he has some pretty targeted signings, though. I mean, is it Lisandro Martinez?
Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah, so his...
Malacia.
Exactly, but Martinez in particular, because I know Ten Hag has spoken about how he sees his physical game fitting into his system. So it's like a very deliberate... It's not just because he's worked with him before, but he actually fits into the way that he wants to play. So, I mean, so far what I've seen from Ten Hag is positive. But again, it's such an unknown with United, because it's more about putting it all together and being able to play for, like you said, the badge and the weight of the club that they play at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's because, I mean, United fans aren't afraid to boo their team off the pitch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a lot of clubs that, like, that's not normal. You know what I mean? So that weighs on a player. The first time you get booed at home.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. You know
100%.
what I mean? So I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of questions about Lisandro Martinez. I know he's rapid. He's probably one of the fastest players on the field at all times. The guy can jump over a house. So there's a lot of questions about his height and his... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions about his height and his physicality. I think one of two things is going to happen with him. Either we're going to be amazingly surprised and it's going to be the most brilliant signing that Ten Hag probably has, or it's going to be that Achilles heel of his career.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what other business they do in the transfer window here. Yeah, De Jong has been a name that's been rumored very heavily. A couple of comments in chat. Dark Raid and welcome in, buddy. Honestly, the goal for United this season is to get Champions League. I think that's a very reasonable goal. Also, Newman says United could be scary in the next few years. Signings are exciting. Part of me says it's United. They do the same thing as every time. But I also look at players that left. Pogba, Lingard. These players were more focused on their social presence, their branding, that kind of stuff, than playing for the badge. Exactly, Newman. Dressing room will be better without players like them. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, remember Mourinho said that when he left. Like, he's like, I don't want to deal with this because these aren't men. These are boys. Like, and he's openly said before, almost verbatim what we've said, where these players aren't playing for the team anymore. They're playing for themselves. They're playing for money.
100%.
And I think Ten Hag's doing a good job of bringing players in who've shown that they will do everything for the club. You look at Eriksen. You look at Malacia. You look at Martinez. One thing that I'm really gonna pay attention to is Martial. Does he leave or does he get a resurgence under Ten Hag?
100%.
Twanzebe, like, does he actually get to stay, or does he go on another tour of Europe?
The big question mark, Harry Maguire. Where does he fit in?
Exactly. That's
Can
the other
they
thing.
even get rid of him if they want to?
The $100 million they paid for him?
Yeah, from Leicester.
And he's...
Was it Leicester or Hull? Yeah, anyways, yeah.
Leicester, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know they still have what's the Swedish guy's name? Lindelof.
Yeah.
Who's what, 26, 27?
Yeah, around
so
there.
Still young in terms of center back.
Yeah.
I think he has plenty of options at his disposal.
Yeah.
Currently, he still has one of the best. I say one of the best strikers in Cristiano Ronaldo. He didn't really have the best season last year in terms of his statistics, but
Yeah.
um, can he squeeze the work rate out of him? Because that
Yeah.
was one thing with Ragnick and um, what the hell? No, just Ragnick. Yeah, he couldn't get the work rate out of him.
Yeah.
Remember, there was games, and I think you pointed this out one night where Cavani would come on the field, and he'd be running end line to end line, and Ronaldo's still trying to get up because he complained about a challenge.
100%. And without, deviating too much into the Ronaldo thing, but just one comment that I do want to make, because I talked about this with somebody who is a United fan as well. And with Ronaldo, you're going to get goals. You're going to get that, guaranteed offensive output. But beyond that, it's about the system. And he does, I feel like he takes away from the system, right? And so especially with someone like Ten Hag, yes, he wanted to build around Ronaldo, but would he be willing to sacrifice his whole team's work rate, effort, willingness to, run for each other just for Ronaldo? I don't think so. Spencer says, my question, when someone brings up Man United, when someone brings up that Man United needs to have patience, Spencer's question is, does the board or even the fans have that patience? Even with Ragnick, a guy for the future, supposedly they gave him an early exit. I still remember.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I still remember when Fergie retired and when Moyes was coming on and Fergie said, have patience. And that feels like a lifetime ago. And so exactly that.
But it's still true.
But how long does it go? When is it? And it's Manchester bloody United.
That's the thing, is like, this club has never gone through this period before. And
for this long, nonetheless.
Yeah, the first time is always the roughest. So, when was the last time you've ever associated Manchester United with a rebuild?
Never.
Never.
Growing up, Manchester United was the team for
maybe when Rooney left, but like, I think they do have to have patience, because if they constantly keep switching managers, especially of this quality, two things is going to happen. One, you're never going to win anything.
Yeah.
Two, no manager with that reputation anymore is going to want that job.
Yeah.
So, I think they have to have some sort of patience, but again, how much of it can they afford to have patience with, and two, can they have any at all? Because they've also already spent, $80 million this transfer window.
100%.
How deep do the pockets go for Ten Hag? So
exactly, and it comes, as Newman says, kind of to the owners too. United are too commercialized now. The board want instant success, profit to please shareholders, no patience. So it's like, we want patience, but the board themselves don't really.
It's Premier League in general, right?
Yeah, but there's no denying that I think the Glazers view United as a commercial opportunity, and I think that as long as, and if Jonesy was in here, he'd probably be. We should have probably saved this topic for when Jonesy joins. But for those of you that don't know, Jonesy Chats Wrestling is a United fan who's a frequent in both of our channels, and he has a lot to say about the Glazers, because it's frustrating as a United fan to be treated as a business venture. And with Todd Boehly coming into Chelsea, there was literally the word thrown around that there's an anti-Glazer clause in the sale to ensure that future Premier League owners don't treat the club as purely an investment and leverage the hell out of their future just for profits,
Yeah, I think that becomes a big topic of.
Yeah.
So say they have patience for Ten Hag this year, he doesn't turn around. They don't win the Europa League. I think for me, a win for Ten Hag this season is to finish in Champions League football.
Yeah.
If he can finish top 5, I think that's a win for Man United this season. I think the only way that you can not have patience with him is there's no way that they don't have a team right now that can't make a decent run in Europa.
No, for sure.
I feel like they can easily push.
I mean, look what Mourinho did with them, right?
Yeah.
Minus Ronaldo. Also, FM Cheater makes a good point. Also, not long after Ferguson joined, albeit a few seasons, he pulled the pin and cleared house, but originally he wasn't that successful, and that's a fair point. But at least he was the guy, right? Like, Ferguson was there. They probably saw the potential in him as a manager, and he got to establish his roots and build a team. With the last few years with United, it's like, what is their identity? From Moyes to Van Gaal to Mourinho to Ragnick to, I'm probably forgetting a few.
Shirts.
Yeah,
that's what their identity was.
It's all, it doesn't feel like a manager is being given the keys to a football club. It's like a manager's being given the keys to a drama show, as Khabib would say probably in his broken Russian English, big drama show. And, it's about commercialism, like a few of you guys have been saying.
Yeah, it becomes a really interesting issue, because if like I was getting to was if he has the success that does bide the patience,
yeah,
but the fans get their way and the Glazers do decide to decides to pull out and sells the team,
Yep.
you're now looking at another rebuild at that point. Basically,
So it's
the
like rebuild
whole
after
infrastructure
everything,
changes.
everything,
Yeah.
everything.
So I think that, again, for me, for him to be considered successful, and I don't know if United fans are going to view this the same way, but a realistic expectation is probably quarterfinals of Europa League this year. If they win it, great, but if not, I think they need to probably push to the corners of all their a quarter, excuse me, of all their domestic cups too, and then try and get a UCL spot. I think
100%.
that's enough success that keeps Ten Hag in good view
Yep.
of both fans and the board,
Yep.
and I think that'll get him. I think that'll also make it more attractive for players to come back next year. Because you look at, why does Ronaldo want to leave right now?
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't even know how the Europa League song sounds like. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's never heard it before.
Yeah, 100%. We have a legend from both our communities in here, and he is a United fan. Zan United, welcome in, brother. And I want to read this because Zan United is a man of few words, but when he speaks, it holds weight. So he says, Man United and then quote unquote fans are very fickle. I would agree. History does not guarantee you trophies. I would also agree. Well before you were born, we didn't win anything for 26 years. That is dropping knowledge. Liverpool didn't win anything for over 20 years before they won the Champions League. Give credit where credit's due. We're changing. No point looking at what happened before. The Glazers have still spent money on players every year. I do not agree with them, but you cannot say they did not invest in players. This constant negative outlook gets on my... Okay, fair enough. It's just, I think... So when I was growing up, so yes, the generation before us, Zen United, exactly, there's a lot of... Like 26 years, you said there was a barren spell. But for the dominance that I witnessed as a kid growing up, right, with Sir Alex Ferguson, that period of dominance to me doesn't line up with Manchester United today. So yes, when you look at the long-term history and the long-term picture of it, okay, there's a period before they had the success. We understand that. Yes, money has been spent on players, but do you think, Dan United or anyone else, do you genuinely think that the players that have put on the shirt since money has been spent on them have justified playing for a club as big as Manchester United? You know, some have probably, but I mean, I think you look at someone like Paul Pogba, right? And I don't know if he was fully committed, you know? Football always goes in cycles. No team has dominated since we did. Exactly. And Zan United, I'll be very clear. I don't expect Manchester United to dominate. Okay? I don't expect Manchester United to dominate, but I feel like Manchester United is struggling for an identity, I think. That's the biggest thing. You know, I grew up respecting and fearing United. And I still, in my head, have that bias that it's United. It's, you know, but then when you look at how the players give their emotions or their all to the club, I don't know if it's fully there from a lot of the players.
I feel like it's hard when you have a revolving door at the manager position. Because you bring in Mourinho, who plays this formation, and so he needs to buy players that fit this formation.
Yeah.
Then you bring in another manager who uses players in this formation. So now you got to go get a winger. You got to go get a more physical full center back. You got to go get this guy, and now you got to bring in Ten Hag, who plays this formation. So now you got to adjust. Other players to fit this formation. So I do think, to United's point, that there is some point that United fans have been a little harsh on the Glazers, because 100%. Yes, they are trying to turn a profit on it, and it is a business at the end of the day, but they've also never shied away from spending money.
No.
I mean, even if you want to be upfront about it, is look at the contract that they offered CR7. I mean, no other club was going to do that. Yes, it's a storybook ending to bring him back to United and let him play there, but was any other club in the world going to pay him, was it 25 million a year? They offered Pogba 20 million to play there. And that guy, that to me though, is both one, showing that they are okay with spending the money and trying to quote invest in the team, but to me, that is where I would be critical of the Glazers, because now we're spending money on a player, or attempting to spend money on a player, I should say, that, like you said earlier, he never fought for that badge. He never once put on that United shirt and cared about the name on the front.
100%.
In my opinion.
I agree. San United agrees. He said that also has to do with losing. As you said, we lost the identity because we never gave managers the time to implement their system. Michael's absolutely right. Newman says, I think credit, yes, when it comes to signings and funds invested, but the money that has been spent on players like Pogba and Ronaldo, the return was a commercial signing, in my opinion, not to benefit the team tactics, similar to what we said. FM Cheater says, look, the recent problem has been at board level and mostly from a lack of clear focus. That is no one with the power to create a footballing philosophy, Shiver. Once Ferguson left the board, we're never going to let anyone have that control again. And then as the managers have come and gone, it's been a mess. So consistency is the biggest thing we're seeing here with the management not being able to build. And similar to Chelsea, I would say, in a way, where Chelsea's been doing it since before United. Obviously, United had that great stability with Sir Alex Ferguson. But for Chelsea, it's like since the old guard retired, that was a period of identity for Chelsea, Terry, Lampard, and Drogba, and Cech up the middle. Since then, this has been a club without an identity. It's been a club with a revolving door of managers, signing players that fit their system specifically for that year. And then the next year when a new manager comes in, it's just a cesspool of players that don't fit, don't mesh, don't gel, make no sense. So yeah, and Zan United finishes it off by saying Pogba only played a third of our games in 6 years. Yeah.
Well, it's also hard to recruit players to come play for you when you're not the best team in your city anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing too.
So, Manchester United haven't put pressure on a Champions League in how long? So, I mean, and I do want to give a shout out to Ten Hag for recruiting a lot of the players he did, whether he knew them or not, but getting some of these players to come play for them when they're in Europa League, stepping back from Champions League, even though they played for him with Martinez and who's the other player I'm thinking of? Why did his name just escape me all of a sudden?
Is it the rumored one, De Jong?
Not De Jong, but Eriksson.
Eriksson, yeah.
Like these players who are coming from deep running Champions League teams and taking a step back, that's hard to do. That's not an easy sell to make. And so, but we also don't know how much of that is, how much of that's Ten Hag, how much of that is, for all we know, it could be the Glazers sitting down and having that conversation. That's a part of football that, as a fan, at your desk or behind the phone, you don't really get to see that part a whole lot. You know what I mean?
100%.
I think for me, I would love, if I was a United fan, I would love to see them bring in a former player as
like an advisor.
Maybe not the head of football operations, but some sort of advisor, somebody that's proven that they have fought for that badge before.
Yeah.
And knows what it means to be a United player.
100%.
And that's why I was really interested when Rooney went to DC United recently.
Because he could have been,
Because I think obviously he wasn't going to be a coach with Ten Hag there. So I did see something where Rooney's biding his time in DC to wait for Ten Hag to fail, and then he'll step in. Because in the MLS, they don't have contract buyout clauses like a lot of the other leagues do.
Yeah.
So he can just leave.
Yeah. No,
so
really.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, really good. And as always, Man United brings, as we've seen, probably the most passionate discussion, as always, the club that is Manchester United. Thank you guys for all your comments. I want to end on this comment for this topic, at least with Zan United, and I can't agree more. Shuffling the pack, exactly. Don't be surprised that nearing the end of the video, a lot of players will leave the club or on freeze or sold. Pogba was that dark cloud over the club for a long time, and he's gone. Lingard, who I think personally, I don't want to get into it, but he's going on to Nottingham Forest, whatever.
He was a clown.
Yeah, so basically what we're seeing is that those decisions are being made, like Zan United said. And because everybody hates us. Honestly, Zan United, I don't. The thing with me, and the reason we talk about it a lot, is because it's perplexing. It's curious. Like, it makes me wonder, like, what is next? What's going to happen? But yeah, what you said, Zan United, I fully agree with. I think it's like a changing of the guard, not even a changing of the guard, but just shuffling out the fodder, the garbage that was dragging the club down. And I think Ten Hag looks like a no bullshit kind of guy. He's in and he's just cutting it to, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it.
To his point, they're still linked to some big time players too.
100%.
Like De Jong, I know they're still trying to work that deal out. They were linked to Yuri Tillemans. That's a phenomenal signing for
100%.
them. You look at they're linked to Anthony, so giving him some
Ajax,
options. Veron, that winger from Brazil, is it Palmeiras, I think, who scored. I think he scored like some godly number of like 20 goals or something from the wing.
Ivan Toney, says Jan United from Brentford.
Ivan Toney. They were linked to Broby, who ended up going back to Ajax.
Yep, Brian Broby.
And then they were also linked to Ben Yedder.
Yeah.
So they've been linked to some interesting names that these aren't your like, oh, we're gonna go get, so and so that's this big name that's gonna sell shirts. These are workhorses. You
That's
know
what
what I
I'm
mean?
saying. Yeah, and that's the vibe
So
that I'm getting from Ten Hag as well. Is
I think he's already showing that different mentality. You mentioned
intense.
earlier, you mentioned earlier that he was yelling at players in training day
Hmm.
one.
Hmm. Jadon
And
Sancho,
not
it was
just,
Jadon Sancho.
yeah, yeah, not just like the bench youth players who are trying to earn a spot. Like he's yelling at these, $15 million athletes like they're, kids on a U15 ground.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? The other, I will say, and then we can move on from
Yep.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other terrifying thing from that video to me, if you go back and watch that, go back and don't actually listen or watch Ten Hag. Watch it on mute and watch some of the basic fundamentals that he is trying to coach these $15 million athletes on.
Very interesting.
And my metaphor earlier, it's like watching a U15 ground. He's teaching them how to pass to players' strong foot.
Hmm.
He's teaching players how to receive passes on their strong foot.
Hmm.
He's teaching them how to switch feet in transition. It is
Hmm.
both one, from a manager standpoint, you look at your manager and you're like, that's a manager that I want.
100%.
But also, if you're a director of football operations, you're like, why are we paying Jadon Sancho almost $20 million a year if he can't use his fucking left foot?
I think it's just a mentality thing, and I think that's where Ten Hag is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, really good
Yeah.
topic, guys. We're going to put that in the bag there. But thank you guys for your
We're gonna put it in the what?
in the bag. Yeah.
Love you, buddy.
All right, love you too. But yes, really good input from chat as always, and appreciate you guys with that. Moving on, a team that will a team that got to go back to basics. Exactly, Dark Raiden with United. Exactly. All right. So a team that I probably can't say because I'm a Chelsea fan, but I'll try. Tottenham. We're gonna
Come on, you Spurs!
So Tottenham. Let's look at what Tottenham's done.
As I wake the baby up.
Jeez, yeah. So our little topic here was Tottenham close to silverware. There we go. Newman's puking all over my chat. Exactly, a fellow Chelsea brother. I respect it, bro. I respect it. So Tottenham, are they close to silverware? Let's take a look at their window. So who have they brought in so far? Of course, we know they brought in. Actually, so we'll start with the loan transfer for Langley, and then Fraser Forster comes in from Southampton. Whatever. Perisic was the first name kind of that came through from Inter, free transfer. Jed Spence from Middlesbrough. Bissouma for 29 million euros from Brighton is massive. Yes, there's question marks with his off Michelle says no. With the off the field antics. And then Richarlison, of course, the 58 million man.
Which
So but what I want to look at is this. Conte staying. At times he was a meme where he was laughing through the pain of managing that team and trying to get them to perform the way he wanted to, saying that, maybe it's a little harder than I thought. Like we all saw those memes where he was basically losing it. So are they title contenders? Are they? I personally right now I would say that they are for sure easy top 4 picks for me. Antonio Conte is a winner. He is explosive. He doesn't handle relationships the best with the club and the directors and all of that, but he knows how to win. That's one thing. And if he has been supported the way he has by Daniel Levy, do we think that, as much as I literally puke when I say this, Tottenham could be title contenders?
short answer, I think, is yes. You look at the team, who have they lost? Let's look at players that they've lost.
Yeah.
Bergwijn was a bench player for them.
Yep.
So he goes
And
back.
they got
to
30
Ajax.
million for him, by the way. That's crazy.
Or he doesn't go back to Ajax. Excuse me. He goes
to Ajax. He was at their youth system, so I guess he goes back. Yeah.
Yeah. So, he was behind Heung-Min Son,
Yep.
and he didn't get a ton of time.
Yep.
And when he did come on, he was, he was a 50-50 at best.
Mm-hmm.
So 35 million. They turn a profit on him.
Yep.
Carter Vickers goes. They finally get rid of him. He goes to Celtic, which, by the way, big shout out to Celtic. That's a huge signing for them. I think he immediately boosts that team, which not that they need it. They lost some random kid right winger, and then they sold, or Golini, excuse me, went back to Atlanta after his loan's done.
Yep.
So they've lost 4 players total.
Yep.
This summer transfer window.
Yep.
That means, just as a recap, that they still have Harry Kane up front. They've officially locked in Kulusevski on the right. They still have
Heung-min freaking Son.
Heung-min Son, Golden Boot winner Heung-min Son. put some respect on his name, Heung-min Son. They still have Bentancur in the midfield. They still have
Lucas
Lucas Moura.
Yeah.
Yeah, that team, if they play well together, which you saw in the second half of that season, once they got Conte together, and we saw that a little bit when Mourinho was there.
Yep.
That they can come together.
Yep.
But the problem with Spurs is they need to start good. The last 3-4 seasons, they've been middle. They've been like 10th or 11th by close to the winter window.
100%.
And this year, that's not going to fly.
No. Zan United has a really good point. Will be a good team. Tottenham, of course. Very difficult to beat. Defense is still a bit suspect, though, I think. Yes, I agree. Richarlison is overpriced and will be a sub, unless you can tell me where he will play in a two-man attack. And I think Zan United, that's why you saw Michael make that face when I said Richarlison, because I don't see where he fits in.
He's a depth player. Like,
For
so
58 million euros?
Here's the thing. He is one of those players, like, so flat out from a number standpoint, Richarlison does score goals. He is 25 to Harry Kane's 29. Harry Kane has been linked to a move and has openly said that he would take a move.
That whole drama last summer, let's not forget that.
Yeah, but he's not going to force a move because he respects the club, but he would take a move.
Yep.
What that does is tells every club is like, hey, you reach that situation,
it's a possibility.
Let's make the move. So I think for me, this isn't so much a this year kind of move, which calls into question, is 63 million a kind of move that you want to make for somebody who maybe not this season kind of player?
There's a question mark over it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Maybe they're planning for the fact that you have the World Cup middle of the season this year, unlike the summer, because usually the World Cup being in the summer, you have time to, hey, Harry Kane blows his ACL, you got time to plan around it. Now, if God forbid this happens, by the way, sorry English fans to put this juju on you, but a player goes down and he's out for 6 months. Now, if that happens this World Cup, he's out for the rest of the year.
100%.
Now you're looking at a team that, do they even qualify for European football
100%.
without that kind of quality? So I think I don't like the signing personally, only because of the price tag they paid for him. But if we look at the other signings that they've brought in, Garen from my chat made a good point. Perisic signed on a free.
Bissouma for 30 million is an absolute steal too.
Yeah, Perisic is 33 years old, but you got him on a free. They got him on a light. They got him on a light contract. He's got experience winning trophies with Conte, not
100%.
just playing with him, winning trophies with Conte in multiple positions with Conte.
And Conte, go ahead, yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and Conte loves the wing backs, like Victor Moses for Chelsea's title-winning season. Absolutely impeccable in his system.
We're going to see a ton of Ivan Perisic linking with Heung-min Son.
100%.
And that is a terrifying thought if you're trying to tactically plan defensively. Because those players, both of them have, if you want to put it in FIFA terms, both have 5-star weak foot. They don't have a weak foot.
Yeah.
Both players can cut inside. Both players can go down the wing and cross in.
Yep.
Perisic is a little bit more defensively than Son is. If you remember the All or Nothing, where Hugo Lloris had to chase down Heung-min Son.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's a really sneaky transfer for them. You have Bissouma coming in from Brighton. I think that is going to be an extremely underrated transfer.
Very much. That's my top transfer they've made for the price.
Exactly. I mean, 32 million for a 25-year-old. I think who can play any midfield role that you want him to. He can play wide. He can play defensively. He can play forward. He can play
very physical.
Just flat out. He's a physical specimen. I think that's going to be another underrated signing for them years to come.
Very much.
They got Spence in from Middlesbrough.
21 years old.
I think that is going to be another player who is going to be, in 10 years' time, English fans are going to look back and like, how the hell did Tottenham get Spence for 21 years or for under 20 million?
Yeah.
They got Longley from Barca, and I know that this is a meme signing for a lot of people, but when Longley was healthy, he was shutting down some of the best players in La Liga.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the pairing of him and Umtiti, not just 2-3 years ago, was one of the best defensive pairings in all of football.
100%. 100%. Just want to touch on chats flying a little bit, which is awesome. So I think the consensus from Newman and a couple other people, I think AJT, he says he's a Spurs fan himself, and Newman both kind of echo that, probably top four. AJT says, as a Spurs supporter, I don't think there's a chance that Tottenham goes for the title unless all the stars align and City and Liverpool both fall off. That's fine. Of course, I agree with that. Dark Raiden says Son over Richarlison. Can't argue that. Zan United says Perisic, another bench player, doesn't have the stamina anymore for the Premier League. I would agree with that, but I think even if he comes off the bench, he has enough to impact the game. You know?
I feel like he could be somebody who's in Conte's pocket as that, Son needs to come off because
to change
the UCL game, or he needs to come on for a UCL game. He's also somebody you can bring in and he can switch from a 5-3-2 to a 3-4-3, or he can move that. So I think he is like a Swiss Army knife kind of player that Conte can keep in his pocket.
Yeah.
I think I agree with Zen United. I don't know how many games he actually starts.
Yeah.
Or how many. I think he's probably going to be capped at probably around 45, 60 minutes.
Yep.
Almost every game.
I don't think he's going to be like a main for sure starter for them at all, but I think he still has a lot of value to offer. What will happen with Winks, Skip, Højbjerg all in the same position, said Zan United, but AJT being the Tottenham fan says Winks has been frozen out. Skip and Højbjerg will rotate when it is needed for 5 subs and 4 competitions. Exactly. This is a year with more fixture congestion than we're used to. Tottenham is in Europe in the Champions League. So there's a lot of games to be played and a lot of minutes for everybody, I think.
I think that's a good point. I mean, Højbjerg typically is a little bit more defensive, but if you look at when he plays for
Denmark,
he's more of an attacking minded player. They kind of play him in like a kind of box to box role next to Eriksen, or when Eriksen was healthy for Denmark, I should say. Which, by the way, shout out to him. I'm glad he's back and healthy. That's
100%.
a huge moment for football to see him playing again, even if it is in a United jersey. But anyways, I think Højbjerg is definitely an underrated player. I think his pairing with Bentancur was one of the big differences for Spurs at the end of the season.
Yep.
I think Winks probably either goes on a loan or gets transferred in the winter window unless somebody's unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I think Skip is probably going to be, like he said, one of those rotational players. I think Basuma will probably be rotational until about the winter window, and then we'll see a lot more of him.
AJT's bold prediction is that Richarlison will score more non-penalty goals than Harry Kane this season. Kane will serve as a creative outlet with Richarlison and Son as forwards. That is a very bold prediction. Interesting to see if that comes to fruition.
I don't know if you heard that sound.
There you go.
I don't think that that's even close. I mean,
it's interesting though, because Harry. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but Harry Kane does drop in pretty deep and contributes to the play a lot more than people give him credit for.
Was it 2 seasons ago he led the league in goals and assists?
Yeah, so I don't think that's as far-fetched as we think. But do you drop who do you drop for that? I don't know.
So the thing is like we may see more of his creative side.
Yeah.
To your point, it's been more of like a less of a target forward, more of just kind of an all-around 9 lately. I think that's because he never was the fastest player on the field, never. But he finds a way.
Yeah, he does.
He's that player that finds a way to score goals. Richarlison to me is not a player that I would want to consistently bag on and getting me a goal. Whereas Harry Kane, I feel like every time he's on the pitch, I can count on him getting a goal.
Yeah.
Does he? No. But I have that feeling.
Yeah.
Richarlison, I don't. I don't. I think he does have the creativity. Maybe he gets off the leash a little bit. Maybe with Everton, he was put in a position where he had to play a way that he didn't want to. And maybe now Conte is going to get the most out of him. We don't know. That's the thing, is like we've never seen Richarlison outside of an Everton jersey that makes him look like he's going to be a good player. Maybe,
100%.
But Conte thought he was worth almost 70 million, so I'm sure that he's going to find a way to make him look that way.
Yeah.
So
Newman says on the topic of Perisic, agree on the stamina side, but he will offer a lot of experience to younger players more off the field.
True.
Exactly, and knowing how to win, like Michael said, titles with Conte. Michael, one last thing on this topic. Zan United says, why Basuma rotation? He is a proven Premier League player. I think you said, and I don't know if you meant to say it, but if you did, just let us know what your thoughts are there, that you think Basuma might be a rotational piece for them. Do you think Højbjerg starts over him, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. I think the pairing of Højbjerg and Bentancur as Conte's holding mids was phenomenal last season. Like Bentancur one is such a physical player that people forget that he is massive. They think of a Uruguayan midfielder and they don't think of this tower that is, the guy could play center back, honestly.
Yeah.
Like he's defensively that good. He could play center back. He's really good in the air. He's physical, but he also has two good feet. And that's one thing I've noticed about what a lot of players that Conte is bringing in is he's bringing in players who can play with both of their feet. So I think Højbjerg has the creativity to overcome what Bentancur lacks, but I think Bentancur is one of those unsung heroes that he does all the work, but gets none of the credit.
100%. And Zan United adds to your point too, saying Bentancur is technically very good as well.
Yeah. Then, not to take anything away from Bissouma, he is a good player. He improved a lot with Brighton, but when you're coming into a new team, you're coming into a new formation, a new play style, new teammates. So it takes a while to build that chemistry.
100%.
To know where your player, like when you're charging on the field, you need to be able to understand that Harry Kane likes to make this run left behind this defender. Or Heung-min Son likes to dip in and then he charges out. Like
the nuances.
Yeah, you got to know what those players' tendencies are.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's going to take a couple games. And not that he could come in and he could score 10 goals in the first half, but I don't think he's going to get a lot of I don't think he's going to get a lot of starting jobs.
And I think, like you said, I think Conte enjoys the balance in the midfield that he had with Højbjerg and Bentancur. Okay, anything else you want to add on Tottenham, or we're good to move on?
I don't think title contenders.
Yep.
I do think this will be the so my bold prediction, and I know we're gonna say predictions for another one, but
closer, yeah.
My bold prediction is that Tottenham gets silverware this season.
Interesting, juicy. All right, good topic as always, guys. Great chat, by the way. Appreciate every single person that is contributing. As my cough starts to take over again. FA Cup win, says Zan United. That's his prediction. Cool. Yep. We will find out. We will be doing a prediction episode. Yeah, the Papa John's. We will be doing a prediction episode closer to the season, guys. So stay tuned for that. All right, moving on. The next topic that we have is Newcastle. And if I think Ultra went to bed, but Ultra is our resident Newcastle fan. Yeah.
I like your cup, by the way.
Thank you.
Stream your cup?
My mom used to have cups like these, so in her memory, I got these. It's very elegant. It's a butterfly. Michelle loves butterflies too. And then like a rose. But yes, I'm sipping on my tea because my throat, my cough is nasty. But Newcastle, what we're talking about with Newcastle is this. There was this huge, I would say, scandalous takeover with Saudi tycoons joining in and, taking over. And everyone thought that they were going to buy their way to the league. And you look at the money they've spent, and they've spent 66 million on 3 players. That's it. They brought in Nick Pope from Burnley. They've brought in Matt Targett from Villa, and then Sven Botman has been their signing, which is a really good signing from Lille. But I mean, 37 million is their big signing. Are Newcastle trying not to be seen as the team that buys the league? Do they have the money, but they're just trying to be very deliberate with what they're doing? What's going on there?
There's a lot of interesting nuances to Newcastle. Like, the meme was that it's not even a meme. They are the richest team in the Premier League.
Yep.
And I think they're actually considered the richest team in the world right now.
Yep.
But actually I think they're second. If I remember right, I think they're second to some Saudi team. I don't remember. But either way, they're up there, right?
Basically, the moral of the story is Saudi owners equals rich money. Lots of money.
They could be spending billions, in the transfer window if they wanted to. I think for me, I think it shows that this new owner is smart in more ways than that we'll probably understand. I think he probably wants to see if Eddie Howe is the right man for the job, or if there's somebody that money can get. And I think he's doing almost the opposite of what we talked about with Man United, where he doesn't want to be panic buying a ton of players, only to then know, or next year Eddie Howe's not his man. Eddie Howe's contract, by the way, is up in 2024. That's only 2 years. So, and it's mid-season of 2024, or excuse me, in the summer of 2024.
Yeah.
So he basically only has this season and next season left. So maybe he's wanting to kind of sit back and see what his options are. Or the interesting thing to me, more so than the lack of buying players, that they haven't sold anybody.
They haven't let anyone go.
Which to me boasts my point, I think, a little bit of, I think that he wants to let Eddie Howe kind of have his team and see if that's the right decision for the club or not.
I respect it.
I don't think we'll ever know. but the take that I get, because if you look at the players as well, when you were saying that they have all this money and they're going to be buying players, a lot of people's initial reactions were Ronaldo's going to go to Newcastle. We're going to see Messi in a Newcastle jersey. You know, we're going to see all these big names that they could afford.
Yeah.
But I think there's two things that we have to consider. Is one, Newcastle hasn't been a name that anybody's wanted to play for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Newcastle fans, because I know you have a rich history.
100%.
But that's the truth of the matter.
Yep.
You don't have any European football that you're playing. You don't have any history of challenging for league titles or international titles of any recent being. There's also not a lot of players on your team that people are like, I want to go play with that guy. You know, so I think that they're being smart getting some of the players they brought in, other than Nick Pope for 30 million, which or excuse me, for 12 million, but he's 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But as a keeper,
is irrelevant. Yeah.
But they brought in Target from, I butcher his name every time. It's weird because he's an English player, but Target. Yeah. They brought in him from Villa for under 20 million. He's 26.
Yep.
They brought in Botman from Lille, who's, by the way, an underrated signing. I think he's phenomenal.
Very much. Yeah.
If you watch his games, you watch his games when he started against PSG, and you'll understand why he's an underrated signing.
Yep.
But for 40 million, I think that's a phenomenal one.
Yep.
You look at the players that they got rid of. Hayden is now out on loan. Hendrick, the 30-year-old's out on loan, and Clark is out on loan. So
and then United said Gale went left on a free as well. Dwight Gale, I think.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of going on. You know what I mean? It's what's your standpoint?
Yeah, I respect it. I mean, I think the easy way is, as everyone expected, for them to just, you know, spend a ton of money and just buy their way up. But I think I respect, and it's very rare to see an owner that is able to spend the money that, you know, we all know Newcastle can spend, but for them to choose to be deliberate, and like Zan United said, they're very astute in the window, and he commends them for their transfer business, and I fully agree. I don't think they're making signings just to make signings. Everything they're doing is very deliberate. It would be fun in a way to see, you know, them get like a marquee signing and see what Newcastle can do, because, you know, we remember the Demba Ba Papi Cisse days, and they were a good team, and they were fun to watch. But like you said, the pull just isn't there right now. I think it's just it's a matter of time. I think it's like a big kind of a rumbling that's starting to happen, and it's eventually going to just explode into something crazy. But I respect the way they're doing business. Newman says here, I feel like Newcastle are doing smart business. Look at City. The first 10 signings, half of them I wouldn't say were class, minus a few. I feel 5 years from now, exactly what I'm saying, 5 years from now, Newcastle will be very dangerous and be making big signings, not as instantly as everyone expects. And I fully respect that.
I think that's true. I mean, if you look at some of the signings that the 3 signings that we've already talked about, Nick Pope's proven, Target's proven for a bad Aston Villa side that he's a good center back. Botman's a good center back.
Yep.
And they're 3 young signings, so they're good investments as well.
Yep.
But I think to the point that we've both made so far is that they don't have any pull other than money right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think they want to be that team that it gets in the situation of
mercenaries
United, where they're bringing players in for 20 million a year, 30
You always got to get
15.
a United jab in there, right?
Well, it's a good example because, you know, you get players like, you know, that they don't want to sign the next Pogba who comes in and doesn't care about the shirt.
100%,
cares about how fat his wallet is.
Yeah. Zan United taking it even further back than Cisse and Demba Ba. Like I said, Ginola, the Frenchman, and Shearer nearly won the title. Very exciting team back in the day. Absolutely.
Ginola. What a player.
Yeah. And then Dark Raiden says Tifo made a video on Newcastle regarding the takeover. If anyone's interested in that, definitely check it out. But yeah, I think, you know, I respect what Newcastle is doing, and I think it'll be interesting to see where they go for their long-term plan.
You look at some of the players that they're also linked to right now. They're linked to Jack Harrison from Leeds, who he's 25.
Yeah.
They're linked to your boy Broha.
Yeah. I haven't heard Newcastle 20. As much, but there's been murmuring. I know. And Diaby too is not going to Newcastle according to Dark Raiden, but Moussa Diaby as well.
They Anthony Gordon at 21 years old.
Yeah.
The latest link is them to Gabriel from a Brazilian side. I've never heard of him, but he's 17. And then I think this one's just fake news, but they're apparently linked to Isaac, but I don't think that happened. So
yeah.
um,
Looking towards the
I don't know.
future,
It's
basically.
interesting.
Yeah.
The like I said earlier, the key point to me that really sticks out as a surprise is that they haven't sold any players that
Yeah.
really move the needle either way. So it's going to be interesting. I think this year, who knows? Maybe they're a winter transfer team. Maybe they spend $200 million in,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
they spend $200 million in the winter window. Who knows?
Yeah.
So,
Who knows?
but I think there's other teams that this transfer window who've spent
Yeah.
way more. It's just going to be a matter of avoiding that that issue of are they playing for the money or are they playing for the team? So
Cool. Good topic.
I think the whole Premier League's kind of fallen suit to that. Would you agree? Like, there's a lot of teams in the Premier League recently where they're getting players who are not fighting for the team anymore. They're fighting for the money that they're getting.
I think it's
Like
a
Jack
nature.
Grealish.
Yeah, it's a nature of the sport. Yeah, Grealish. Yeah, I mean, yeah. No comment on that transfer.
I don't know if that one's his fault though. To be fair, like
I mean, yeah.
someone knocks on your door and is like, "Hey, you want to make $20 million to play for Manchester City and get you out of Aston Villa?" I'm like, sure.
I just the purist in me wishes that it was different, but
Yeah.
I think it's the nature of the landscape now. Also, Zan United would like you, Michael, to stop using United as an example of buying 10 players in a window. He says, yes, we have overspent, but we did not do a City after their takeover in terms of just going out and getting whoever. So fair point.
But how many titles has City won since that time? How many titles have Man United won?
They
since
literally
that
bought
time?
their way to the title, yeah.
Man City does have players that fight for their badge.
Newman says Grealish doesn't fit the style at all. It's more yeah, exactly. So I think that's the nature of some of the signings you see these days. Players are never going to turn down that kind of money and financial security. So
Man City would be a team I would love for there to be like a deep dive once Pep leaves. Like, how much of it was Pep buying these players? Because there's a big part of me that wants to believe Pep wanted absolutely nothing to do with Jack Grealish. Like, it doesn't make sense for him to go spend $100 million, pay him almost 20, I think 18 million a year or something like that. I forget what his contract is, but for him to make that much money, that doesn't seem like Pep to me.
yeah.
You look at a lot of the players that he has openly said he wants, and the players that he's brought in, the João Cancelos, the Ruben Diaz, the American Laportes, those
Bernardo Silva.
players, those players scream Pep to me. The Riyad Mahrez, those players scream Pep to me.
Yep.
But then you look at Jack Grealish, and I'm like,
He's just there.
is that because he was hot in England at the time? Is that Man City going, hey, we do need a shirt to sell? And the
Number
Euros
10
is coming
too.
up. Yeah. So I would love to see that as a documentary. I don't think we ever will, and I don't think Pep will ever share that knowledge with anybody. But
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Maybe when he retires, he'll write a book, but
maybe, yeah.
$5. Grealish is fantastic English player, says Newman, of course, hailing from England and living in Canada right now. Newman is. But the English media pumps up the price, of course. It's the Premier League tax. I think, when you find a hot English prospect like that, it's always going to be almost 100-fold in terms of value. Okay, so that is a little bit on Newcastle.
So I got some bits in my my chat here. Timo dropped 100 on me.
Oh.
So I thought we were talking about football and soccer. You probably can't hear me because I'm also running an ad because I'm a greedy Amazon workhorse. But the primary thing is this going to be footy chat. So I think this is the first one where we talked about
What?
Sorry, my alert all of a sudden just went off.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
It was really delayed. Oh, it's because he's dropping another 100.
Shout out to Timo.
Dude, sorry, chat, but I think this is the first time where we're running into
Our naming choice.
like players.
Yeah.
So this is primarily going to be a soccer. If you want to think about it, for our American or Aussie friends or our Kiwi friends.
It was a controversial name because when I asked, so we have of course a few Australian friends in here, and we asked about footy, and the first thing they think is Aussie rules football.
Bro.
So yeah.
I'm so sorry.
What?
This guy's only talking to me in bits. I don't know what's going on. I'm loving it, but sorry. Anyways,
Oh, I see it.
yeah,
I see
we talked about this. Sorry to derail the
Email going
podcast a
off.
little bit,
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
did talk about this. Because we even asked one of our Australian viewers.
Yeah.
was like, is this going to be something? And it's like, for us, I think at the end of the day, the world's most popular sport is football. It's footy.
100%.
So I think that was the big factor in why we decided to go with that name.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to primarily be discussing is going to be football and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I think.
Are you still getting bits?
I'm sorry. It's just. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see the messages.
I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you, Timo, by the way. But just to clarify, this is going to be a soccer primarily podcast,
as evidenced by the logo in the middle of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to say that like there may be something that pops off in the sporting world, like
Yeah, of course.
somebody may like take over or do something crazy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's primarily gonna be soccer podcast, but
Also, guys, sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but
no, go for it. Go for it.
just so you guys are aware too, our time frame, like we're not going to put a hard timer on it, but our idea for each kind of podcast was around 2 hours. I think that's a sweet spot where it doesn't get too long or too short. And we are actually at an hour 34 that I've been live at least. So we probably have another about half an hour before we wrap it up. But yeah, if you guys, either Michael's chat or my chat, have any feedback after this, feel free to let us each know. You know where to find us on Twitter and stuff like that. So we're open
we're
to
also going
feedback.
to be. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We're also going to be uploading this to YouTube. So if there's a part that you missed and you want to catch it back,
absolutely,
you're going to be able to catch it on YouTube. It's going to just be called the Talk Footy Podcast, or Talk Footy to be podcast. Excuse me.
I'm going to link
the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'll link it in chat right now too.
So those we'll be uploading those to YouTube, and then probably next episode 2 will be the first one that I think I can get on Spotify. So we'll be able to post it on Spotify. Apple's a little bit more finicky, so I'm going to work on that one, but Spotify should be coming up very, very soon.
Absolutely. So I've just thrown the link in my chat. I'm heading over to Michael's chat right now. I'm going to throw the link in there for YouTube.
Yeah.
So that is done. AJ asks if this will be uploaded to Spotify or Apple Music, right as Michael talked about that. So there's your answer, my friend. And Newman, thank you for the kind words. He said, great content, guys. Appreciate that. Absolutely love you, Newman. All right.
He wants me to talk about how Harry Maguire is better than Messi.
Okay, there we go. I think for the amount of bits that Timo has given Michael, Timo wants you guys to know that Harry Maguire is far better than Lionel Messi.
Harry Maguire!
At just about everything. Not just football or soccer. At just about everything.
He's better at hat size, that's for sure.
There you go. So moving on then, do you want to touch on this next segment right now, Michael? The promotion teams, or do you want to talk about that during our prediction one?
I think this is still a good time to talk about it.
Sure.
I mean, we don't have to really go into too much of like which teams are going to finish in what spots, but the promotion teams. So what were the 4 promotion teams? I know Nottingham Forest was the big one that everybody. Three.
Nottingham Forest, and then I think it was bloody hell. It's all the same. It's the same guys that keep coming up and down. I think. No offense. It is Nottingham Forest. It
Fulham.
is Bournemouth, which is Chelsea's like bogey team, and then Fulham, as Newman says. So yeah, who do you think out of the 3 has the best chance of staying up?
Well, my heart wants to say Forest, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you look at the fact that they've spent 90 million in this transfer window.
Absolutely insane.
You know, you think that they're going to be the big ones, but
Nottingham Forest has spent more than Real Madrid, PSG, Manchester United, Ajax, and Newcastle right now at this stage.
And only 5 million short of what Liverpool have. So,
insane. Is it money well spent? We'll find out.
Yeah, I think so my heart and my financial wants me to say that it's Nottingham Forest, right? Remind me to lower the volume on my alerts after this. By the way.
So I can't hear anything, so you just hear it in your headphones and you're going crazy. But we're chilling over here, yeah.
Yeah, just so you guys are aware of what I'm dealing with in my ears.
Head over to Mykal87's chat if you're confused about why he keeps getting distracted.
He's close to 1,000 bits in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Wonderful messages. Yeah.
Spamming.
Yeah.
Phil Jones is better than Messi. So
beautiful messages.
But I think Nottingham Forest is the one that really wants to.
Lingard today.
really wants. Yeah,
So
and that's on a free,
let me tell you
by
what's
the way.
happened. So Dean Henderson joins on loan from United, and Wayne Hennessy is on a free from Burnley. Lingard on a free, and then the major ones are Toffolo, the left back from Huddersfield, joins in. Lewis O'Brien from Huddersfield as well. So two guys they've taken from there. Omar Richard from Bayern Munich. Omar Richard, sorry, 8.5 million.
Yeah.
Julian Biancone from Troyes in France, 22 years old. Moussa Niakate from Mainz. And then Nico Williams from Liverpool, of course, and the big one is Tayo Awoniyi, the Nigerian striker from Union Berlin. So really heavy recruiting from them, and it's going to be interesting to see how this team comes together. I think there's a lot still to be determined. I mean, their playoff final against Huddersfield was tight. It was an own goal that
It was exciting.
very sadly, as a Chelsea fan, devastated me because Levi Colwill allowed that own goal, and he's a player that I highly rate. Topic for next time. But, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And I would agree with you. I think out of all of us, out of all the teams, my heart would want Nottingham Forest for sure to be the team that survives. Are they good enough to stay up? We will probably find out.
Is it too much? Is that the thing? Is the signings too much?
Too much change and too much unknown. Yeah.
So if you look at that Nottingham Forest team that came up, they all were playing for each other. And I'm not saying that these players won't come in and they won't have that same mentality, but as we talked about a little bit earlier in the podcast, it's like when you come into a new team, a new system, and a new coach, new teammates, you don't really have a feel for everybody's little nuances or what this player wants, It's not really something that you can just scrap together and get like, you know, a FIFA type of performance right away.
Yeah.
So
100%.
And these are some key positions. Like you have
midfield,
center
striker,
back,
goalie, wing back,
4 fullbacks.
Yeah.
You know, he went full Pep mode this transfer and bought like 4 fullbacks. So the key thing to me though that I love to see on these transfers, the oldest transfer that I see here is Wayne Hennessy at 35.
Yeah.
And he's a free transfer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it is. But the average age here looks to be around 23 years old.
And he's been around so they can learn from him and build for the future. Exactly. And like Newman says, I think he'd like to say, yes, they'll survive, but he can't see them staying up purely because a lot of players need to gel, like you said, Michael. Problem is, though, he said you don't have that time. You don't have the time for them to gel because in the Premier League, you don't. There's no easy games, so you can't afford to.
Yeah. Ask Tottenham.
Yeah.
You drop those games, those points you can't get back. So
100%.
And when you're already slated to be in a relegation race, you can't afford to drop.
And it's a mental thing, right? Imagine showing up in the new league and getting off to a bad start and then thinking, now we can't lose another game. We can't lose another game. And then that pressure on themselves is going to.
Yeah. When you're, it's the same way when you're fighting for a title race. When you're at home, you can't be drawing. You can't be dropping those kind of points, you know? And so my heart wants to say that they have what it's going to take. And one thing is for sure, though, that they're set up for the future for a good couple years with a lot of good quality players.
100%.
Will they stay up this year? I don't know. Because if we look at the Premier League teams who are slated to possibly be relegated behind them, right?
What is the early predictions right now, by the way?
I don't know if they've released any yet. I know they've released the fixtures, right? I'm just trying to find. Let's just look at tables here.
Predicted, like just look at predicted relegation odds, I guess.
So Fulham. So I actually think Fulham have what it takes to stay up. I think it'll be.
Herrera is their signing. We'll see how that works.
Yeah, I think Southampton goes down. I think they were
unless
lucky
they
to
get
avoid it last
Levi
year.
Colwill or some. Yeah, maybe. But yes, right now,
but they've spent a ton of money too, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. According to Squawka, I have some numbers here. So 58% chance for Nottingham Forest to go down, 52% chance for Bournemouth to go down, 42% for Fulham, 32% for Southampton, and then behind them is Leeds, Everton, and then Brentford. I don't think Leeds goes down.
I don't think Leeds goes down. Everton might. Everton's a scare. I mean, one thing that nobody's talked about is
Minnesota United beating them 4-0 and Richarlison. Oh, sorry, no, wrong time to.
No, right time. I mean, who have Everton brought in? I couldn't even tell you one name that Everton's made or moved other than Richarlison leaving.
Yeah.
And you look at the production that he brings. What are their options? What are their alternatives? So
yeah, no, for sure.
I don't know. I think Everton might actually go down. I mean, they barely escaped last year. They went on kind of a little bit of run at the right time, and they managed to
Beat
stay up.
Chelsea towards the end. Yeah, I know.
They did bring in Tarkovsky for 24
From
million.
Burnley.
Um, but that's it,
They haven't
right?
made any changes yet.
Or
No,
no,
I
excuse me. Tarkovsky's a free transfer. He brought him in on
free
free.
transfer. Um,
Um,
it's gonna be really interesting. I think out of the teams that have been promoted, I think I'm optimistic that Nottingham Forest can put it together based on the signings they've made. But will it actually work with chemistry and all that stuff? Probably not. But it's like my mind's telling me
so
no, but my body kind of thing.
the more that I'm looking at this, the more I'm thinking Everton to go down. The two strikers that they have on their team right now are Calvert-Lewin,
Yeah.
who, to say he's inconsistent, is that a compliment or an insult? I don't know. I'm not really sure. And then they have Solomon Rondon, who
Yeah,
is
I mean that
not a
guy's
Premier
yeah.
League striker. So they have a young team, and I think again that they are going to be good
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to struggle. I think Fulham's going to be towards the bottom of the table. I don't think they're going to make this miraculous run where they're in like 10th or anything like that. I
Yeah.
think they're going to be bottom table.
Yeah.
But I think they avoid it. I think Leeds avoid it with a lot of the moves that they've made. And then I think they got a lot of confidence with how they finished last season.
Yeah.
Another dark horse I think you'd have to look at is Brighton.
Yeah. I think Brighton's going to find a way. Graham Potter's an amazing manager.
I do think Fulham and Forest stay up though, by the skins of their teeth. I think it's going to be a battle, but I think Bournemouth goes back.
Bournemouth goes back down. Yeah. Newman says Everton struggle but stay up. It's just crazy to think about Everton going down. Like it's insane. But when you look at it, it's like where are they going to get their performances from? I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cascadian, who's a big Everton fan, says that apparently Everton announced that most of their moves are going to be done towards the end of the transfer window.
Interesting.
Which, if they do, I mean, they're running out of market right now. So
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
To be determined, and they don't have an easy start to the season. First game against Chelsea.
That's a hot seat for me for
Lampard.
I think come the winter window, I think if they're in the red, he's done.
I talked about this with you, was it? No, I think it was I think it was on stream, but I talked about how Lampard taking this could be the best or worst thing for his career, and I'm leaning more towards worst at this point.
Yeah. I agree.
Because it's a very risky job to have taken, and based on what we're seeing, it's going to be a struggle next year. But like Cascadian said, maybe there's going to be some really good moves towards the end of the window, and maybe he'll find a way. Lampard is a good manager, and he will find a way. But just the overall situation he's in at Everton is not the easiest to navigate, I would say.
Dude, hot take. Rooney ends up coaching.
Not a hot
Everton
take. I see that perfectly. Yeah, 100%. I agree.
That could be interesting. One team that I really want to keep an eye on, and I know we're doing predictions in another one, but keep an eye on Crystal Palace this season.
Is this the year that Palace does something?
They haven't made a ton of moves that really make you go, oh, wow, or anything like that. But Vieira is building that team into something that they really want. They kept Wilfred Zaha.
Yep.
I think that team is going to surprise some people.
Could be. Very good. Interesting.
And it could be for the worst. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Okay, so we have about 15 minutes left, I think, before we will wrap up. Michael, if you take a look at our agenda, I just wrote a note there. There's one topic that we'll probably get into next time, because just in interest of time. We want to move on to the Serie A. One last thing, I just want to read AJT's message here. I think Lampard gets too much hate. He is a good judge of player ability. Look at how he wanted Declan Rice at Chelsea, and they laughed it off. Mason Mount is playing at Villa. If Lampard ever becomes manager, he gave Tomori minutes. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with what you're saying. And exactly, it's just going to be a matter of seeing what he can do with Everton, if he's given the resources to replace one of their main players with Richarlison. There's no doubt. Like we wonder how Richarlison fits into Tottenham, but there's no denying he was a crucial part for Everton. So we'll move on to that. I just have to shout out a great viewer for both yours and my channels. Rob Potatoes says, good morning, everyone. Today I'm feeling no potatoes as I'm currently unwell. Rob, Michael, and I, and everyone here wish you the absolute best. Hopefully you're not too unwell, and sending our thoughts to you, buddy. Yeah, feel better. Thank you for dropping in.
Let's ixnay on the Serie A for now, because we can go over like world football.
Sure.
And then the next one, let's just stay in. Let's go over that highlighted one and just cover the last couple minutes.
Sure. Yes. So
we can bleed into that.
Yeah. Do you want to take that away then for our final topic, Michael?
Yeah, we just want to gloss over a lot of the transfer windows here. I mean, we're looking at the top 25 teams in terms of expenditures. There's a lot of names on here that you'd expect to see, but I'm more impressed by the names on here that you don't expect to see. Like, look at Leeds coming in as the third most
So currently
club.
in the entire, and I'm going to share this link again in both chats. Like Michael said, the third highest spending club in terms of transfer expenditure is Leeds United. Click on the link in both our chats if you want to follow along.
By the way, have turned a profit still. They've spent 117 million US dollars, but they've profited because they've sold 117 million US dollars according to this.
Rafinha, Calvin Phillips,
spent 116. Yeah. So, like, they're again smart signings. They're not just going out and getting these, 30-year-old kind of players. You got Gyabi coming in from the Manchester City farm team. Roca coming in from Bayern Munich. By the way, he is going to be phenomenal.
Yep.
He was far down the pecking order at Bayern. But Christensen from Salzburg, Tyler Adams from Leipzig.
Sinisterra is going to be a great, and Sinisterra is going to be a great signing from Feyenoord. I think he's going to be amazing.
You're definitely seeing a lot of Jesse Marsch here using a lot of his experience from the Bundesliga coming into play.
Yep.
Sinisterra, like you said, and the oldest player there that I mentioned was Roca, by the way, at 25 years old.
And you know what's crazy, right? So with Leeds, and this is a good one to pick, Michael, because Leeds is an interesting one. You saw the news come out. Okay, Calvin Phillips to Man City. Oh, what's going to happen now? The Rafinha saga. Oh, there's no way Leeds recover from this. I look at who they've brought in, and I would argue they're in a better position now than they were before, on paper. The signings that they've made have strengthened across multiple positions while losing two key players, albeit very key players. But I'm very comfortable looking at who they've brought in and saying that they're probably going to be okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think you have a lot of players here that fill a role, and I think that's the big thing. Now, if they do end up losing Jack Harrison, I think that kind of starts to hurt them a little bit.
Yep.
I think they have a lot of players that they need to keep.
Yep.
I know that they were linked at bringing in Juan Mata for some experience. I don't know if that's actually going to go through or not. And I know that they are even trying to get Ivan Toney to play up front.
So Ivan Toney seems to be a name that's being thrown around a lot this summer, hey?
I think he wants out of Brentford.
Yeah,
I think he's afraid of them being. I think he's afraid of them being relegated.
Yeah. Plus, do we remember the videos of the girls who, while they were partying, Ivan Toney was just shitting all over the team? Yeah. Anyways, Newman says the same kind of what I said. Exactly. I was worried for Leeds when they sold the players they did, but the players that they have brought in have been fantastic recruitments. So
yeah. Well, you got to remember Calvin Phillips. What did he play, like a quarter of the season last year?
Because of injury.
Yeah, so I mean, they were able to survive without him.
And Jesse Marsch is a good coach. Like, he gets memed a lot, but I think he's a very phenomenal coach, Yeah. And the key, like you said, is he's relying on players that he thinks will fit based on his experience. He's bringing in a lot of players from Salzburg, Leipzig, Bayern.
I think they're doing the right thing by giving him the ability to build what he wants, and they're sticking with him.
Yep.
I think that's only going to help Leeds, and I think they're able to stay up for a couple of years. The big shock for me is Dortmund spent a good chunk of change and they're contenders. You look at the giants of, so these three giants here turning in big money to a profit. You got Man City, who did spend 120 million, but they still managed to profit 15 million this transfer window.
Yeah.
You got Juve, who spent 100 million. They still managed to profit 10 million this window. So it seems like there's a lot of these big teams who are showing us that you can still make smart moves and get the team that you want. And Juve being one of them.
Of course, and we are going to talk about Dortmund's phenomenal window at a later episode, but I do want to say, while we're on the subject of Dortmund, best wishes to Sebastian Haller, who has been diagnosed with tumors, I think it was.
It was removed today. I saw on Twitter. He was successful surgery, so he's in recovery.
Wonderful.
So, but
if you guys didn't know, Haller passed his medical and everything at Dortmund, and then during some extensive medical examinations, they found tumors in his testicles. If you are a male, always get everything. Checked. Get yourself checked.
Females, get yourself checked too.
Females too, of course. But best wishes to him, and And then Newman says Man City have sold good players, but it doesn't weaken their team. Yeah, they're just an anomaly.
True.
They're an absolute anomaly.
Dude, check this stat line out, right? If I told you a team spent 70 million in a transfer window, they ended up losing 45 million, but they brought in 90 players in the transfer window.
Sorry,
Is
how
that
many?
real or fake?
That has to be fake.
90.
There's no shot anyone brought 90 unless it's like a team
Atlanta.
from Atalanta. Okay, so it's one.
Atalanta.
So you know what that is? That's the meme. That's the Italian meme. It's all their loanees returning back. These guys probably had close to like 85 players out on loan. That's ridiculous.
Yep. They've sent out 39 players this window. So
Everyone said Chelsea was the loan meme. What about Atalanta? They just had 90 players come in, guys.
If you look at this end of loan, I mean, it's literally almost 2 pages worth of end of loan. So actual signings, they have signed Demiral from Juve, which
Click
is
that
a
link,
great
guys,
signing.
and just scroll. By the way, click the link and scroll.
They signed Anderson from Salernitana, who's again going to be phenomenal, and Boga from Sassuolo. So they
Boga's
managed
a great
to
player.
sign. They managed to get their international player in Ederson,
Yep.
the Brazilian, and then they managed to get 2 good players from also in the Serie A as well. And then, like I said, they have so many players coming back on loan that they're going to have. Gasparini's going to have this. He's going to have like 4 inter squad friendlies to figure out who he wants to play.
Yeah, literally.
You know.
Yeah.
And you look at some of the players that they have going out. They do have quite a few. They did manage to sell some of these players who are coming back on free transfers or loan to buys. But that club is, what the hell is going on with that club?
Unbelievable.
90 players returning to the club.
Absolutely crazy. Like, it's insane. And it yeah, like I said, you know, people used to meme Chelsea for that, but there's some teams in Italy that are notorious for that. Also, guys, I think we're just gonna wrap, like, as we wrap up, I think the last 5 minutes, and Michael and I haven't really actually talked about this, but I would think it would be cool if the last 5 minutes of a show or so was just like an open panel from the chat as well. So if there's anything that you guys in chat, which of course both of us want to thank you for being involved throughout the night, but if there's anything that you guys want to you know, talk about, just throw that in chat and we'll try to have an open panel. But yeah, you can continue. I just want to joke. Dark Raiden made a joke here about Atalanta, saying Atalanta is like FM22 players with their wonder kids, just hoarding them.
Dude,
yeah.
Me just saying,
literally.
I mean...
Yeah, it's insane, man. Like you said, I think the big takeaway from looking at some of these transfer expenditures is, like, it's really cool to see some teams that you don't really expect to see up there. And it's going to be interesting to see how that works out for a lot of these teams. Like we'll talk about this next time, but Dortmund's window, phenomenal. We touched on Forest. You know,
City had a phenomenal window.
City did.
Not that they needed it.
Not that they needed it. Arsenal did well as well, I would say, with at least getting a signing that they desperately needed, which we haven't talked about. We should probably do an Arsenal one next time. Barcelona, of course.
PSG's first window with Mbappe at the wheel.
Mbappe's controlling all the transfers, as we know. But yeah, I mean, even Barcelona, like, they have had a phenomenal window, and so yeah, it's interesting. Just looking at the 90 arrivals at Atalanta, if you scroll down, Inter Milan has 50 guys coming back.
Yeah. So Garrett in my chat here with the first question for us is,
let's go.
He wants to know what we consider to be the most head scratching signing so far.
The most head-scratching signing so far. I'm going to go with a re-signing, and I'm going to go with Dembele at Barcelona, because...
Ousmane Dembele, okay.
Ousmane Dembele, because it seems like Xavi and the board weren't on the same page. Xavi wanted the player, the board absolutely did not. He sat out a lot of last season. So many question marks with his injuries, so many question marks about his commitment. I've been fortunate enough to see Ousmane Dembele live a few months ago. He is explosive when you watch him live. He is arguably one of the most exciting players on the pitch when you watch him live. However, is he consistent enough? Does he want to be there? Is he just going to coast now that he has signed an extension? They brought in Rafinha. They have Fati. They want to build around injury questions around him, albeit whatever. But for me, re-signing, it's not really a head-scratching like transfer in, but it's a re-signing of Dembele, for me, makes zero sense at Barcelona.
Especially when you factor in everything else that they're doing, like like we started.
And
about
I can't imagine he's on it. Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying, like, if we started if you missed the beginning of this podcast, go back and watch it. But we spent a good chunk of time wondering where they're going to afford this money from.
100%. So. And the last thing I wanted to say is I can't imagine Ousmane Dembele taking a cheap contract. Like, he's got to be on some significant wages. So that's from mine. What about yours?
For me, the one that really sticks out is Richarlison going to Tottenham. That was the one that ever since I've heard the rumor, I'm like, there's no way that this goes through. I thought this was Fabrizio's first bust. I was like, this isn't going to happen. This is a fake, I still think that that's the one to me.
Your face when I said
On
Richarlison at Everton earlier, it just showed
yeah,
like your reaction. You just genuinely don't believe it's a good signing
it
right
doesn't
now.
make
It doesn't
yeah,
make
and
sense.
I don't have a horse in the race,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like it I I don't know what to say.
yeah.
That's the one for me though that is
Cool.
the most head scratching for a lot of reasons.
Cool.
So
We have like 4 in my chat, so we'll go through these quick fire and
yeah,
then we can
yeah,
do
yeah.
yours. Rob Potato says, "Are Juventus in danger of missing out on a Champions League spot this season?" I know you have something to say about that, Michael, in terms of their lack of defensive strengthening.
I think I think they are unless they find a way to bring in somebody that's going to shore up that back line. I know that they were originally wanting Koulibaly when Delict rumors was flying around, and your side managed to come in and grab him away. They did sign Bremer, um,
From Torino,
and
the Brazilian.
but yep, but they got Demiral in. They ended up getting him back from their loan at Atalanta, but
Lost
it's
Dybala.
yeah, and they lost Dybala. I mean, Vlahovic had kind of a lackluster season for somebody to spend
Bernardeschi
money on.
left, which is not the biggest, but then they also
Hmm.
last season still are dealing with Kulusevski and Bentancur leaving as well. So a lot of question
It's
marks.
missing out on Champions League.
Maybe a
I'm gonna
stretch.
say no, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say no because just the way that there's two. I mean, there's only six quality like top flight teams. There's
Yeah.
like three tiers in Italy,
Yeah.
in the first tier. That I think they're still gonna manage to it. They
So
might be the last
if
team in.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, if Napoli had strengthened, I would say maybe
true.
Juventus could have missed, but Napoli's lost Koulibaly and Insigne, so I say no.
Hmm.
I don't think they're in danger, Rob, but they're a team that needs a lot of work. Um,
They did sign Di Maria, by the way. So
they did, true. I forget that. Yep, they did. Big Geek 2, first time chat in first time message in chat. Thank you for that. With Rafinha and Calvin Phillips gone, do you think Leeds go down? I think you may have tuned in just after we talked about it, which is not a problem at all. But we did talk about how Leeds have at
my
first.
camera's frozen on your screen, by the
Oh,
way.
is it actually? No shot.
Yeah.
How long has it been frozen? No, it's not. I'm watching my OBS. You're fine.
I just
Is it
caught
frozen?
You're good.
Oh, there. I just
It was.
ruined it now. Okay. But yes. No problem. Long story short, Big Geek, I'm happy to recap. Basically, initially, I think Michael, myself, and quite a few people in chat, when we saw Calvin Phillips and Rafinha were leaving, yes, we thought they were probably a little screwed. But the transfer business that they've done is, I think, on paper exceptional, and I think they have every chance of staying up, actually. But yes, if
I
you
think they stay
rewind
up.
like about 10 minutes when you watch this back, we did go in depth about that whole thing, which is good. Do you have anything on your chat, or do you want me to keep going after one more here?
You're good.
All right.
You're good.
Dark Raiden says, and this one's tricky and we're gonna have to keep it short, but Lewandowski or Benzema? Go.
I'm gonna let you answer this one while I think of a politically correct way to say this.
All right, so so for those of you that don't know, again, Michael is a Bayern Munich fan, and I'm a Chelsea fan. So we have like, but I'm just saying, like he brings the Bayern perspective. If you're gonna ask me, so Dark Raiden, I'm just gonna answer you as to who I think will score more goals next season. However, if you are asking me about something else in terms of that, let me know in chat. I think the season Benzema had was insane, and he's been doing it. He's been doing a really good job at Bayern, which is amazing. At Bayern, at Real, which is amazing.
Ooh.
But yeah, no, but it's really interesting. I'd have to go with Karim Benzema because he knows the league. He's been in it. He's lived in it. I don't know what Barcelona is doing. I don't know how they're going to play with Lewandowski. I don't know what their starting lineup's even going to look like. There's going to be 7 or 8 people around Lewandowski all trying to run into the box and score goals. I don't know what they're going to do. They have no defenders, right? Literally, like they're just going to be a bunch of players trying to do the same thing. Rafinha's going to try to make an impact. I don't know, but Benzema is that guy and has been that guy. So I got to go with Benzema for next season if that's what you meant.
I also don't know if Lewandowski speaks Spanish, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he said
They
hi.
did his-
He said hi. I'm Robert Lewandowski. I was born in Poland and I play for Barcelona in
Yeah,
Spanish.
all of his review videos so far have been
So cute. Yeah.
1 to 2 sentences or in English.
Yeah.
So, if I was building a team today, I'd buy Lewandowski.
Interesting. Interesting.
This season, Benzema's gonna be the better player.
Interesting.
Lewandowski, I think he's gonna do well. I think he'll probably put up 20. But I think overall season wise, I think Benzema's gonna have the better season and probably the more successful season.
I can't argue with that.
But I would still buy Lewandowski because I think Benzema is a number 9. I don't think he gives you a lot outside of that. Lewandowski is phenomenal. He's a lot more I don't want to say he's better, or like I don't want to say one has something the other doesn't, but Lewandowski to me is better in the air, especially
Like
on
a more
set
complete
pieces.
forward.
Yeah. And Lewandowski is more natural at dropping back into almost playing a midfield role when he needs to. So,
See, I would, and not to get too deep into it, but I would argue that Benzema, like, I can see the complete forward aspect of Lewandowski for sure in terms of his aerial presence and
mhm.
all of that, and just some of his finishes are atrocious. Like, he makes it look so easy. But I think Benzema does well linking up. I really do. But I can see both, and I'll be honest, I have not watched a lot of Bayern recently, so I'm in no position to speak on that. All I know is that Lewandowski's not a human being
Yeah.
with his goal
I
output.
think they're the same age too. I think.
Yeah, yeah. So chat says Benzema will outscore Lewandowski, says Raw Potatoes.
I
And then
agree.
Newman said Benzema best striker on the planet last season. He did have a phenomenal season last year.
I think the only way that Lewandowski does outscore Benzema
Yeah.
is that he comes in and the tiki taka build up just always ends up at Lewandowski.
Yeah.
And I don't see Xavi building that because it kind of goes against the way he wants it to. But I think that's the
100%.
only way.
Cool. I think that was really good. Is there anything else that you want to add, Michael, before I wrap up
Um,
here for us?
Garen asked me for, and
Yeah.
give you a heads up, Garen. We are going to do a predictions podcast a little bit
Probably
closer to
within
the
the
season.
next week or so because the season's only 2 weeks away.
Yeah, once the transfer window kind of is coming more to a close and the season's actually underway, we'll do it like an official. We'll probably do like a last segment of one of our podcasts is going to be predictions. But he wants to know what is your current Champions League prediction
To win
for
the
the
whole thing?
final?
To win the
For
to be in the final?
The final
Um,
and who wins?
I think it's got to be Manchester City in the final. I really do. Like I
Mm,
think Haaland takes them that one step over if everything goes well. I could honestly see it being a City Liverpool final. I really could. I think
okay.
it's really tough right now not knowing the full picture. Like Real Madrid still has probably some more, like they brought in Rudiger and I think there's still some more business to be done there. Barcelona looks good, but I don't know how they'll do in Europe. I'm going with an early prediction of City Liverpool for it all at the end of the season, and I think City gets it. I think City gets it done. As much as I don't believe it because it's a meme and I love it,
Mm,
I think Haaland just takes them to the next level. I don't think Haaland's going to be as patient as people think with staying at City. I think he wants to get in, make a crazy impact, and go to Real Madrid eventually. That's my thing. So I think you'll see
it's an
some
interesting
stuff.
take. That's a
Yeah,
hot take
that's
right
that's
there.
my take, and it's super hot. I know, but that's my take.
Um, this is one of those like I feel like we're counting our chickens here. I do think that City get back. Um, I think they get into the final. I don't think they win it.
Hmm.
I think that we see Real Madrid win another one.
Interesting. Wow.
Right now, I think that Real Madrid has added a lot of key young pieces to their team this season
Chouameni.
that I think that's going to be able to carry them through a lot of the rough parts
Hmm.
that you would see.
Hmm.
Um, that you'd see a lot of fatigue on the legs of Toni Kroos and Modric by that time of the season, and
Yeah.
watch back a lot of the La Liga games at the end of the season last year, where they had to rest some of those players because they had already won the title,
Yeah.
and they
They kind
wanted
of
to get
cruise
the
their
Champions
way.
League done.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that this year, though, they're going to have more depth, more young players that can get those minutes
Yep.
and still perform.
100%.
I think they secure La Liga again, and I think that right now, I say that they edge Man City in the final.
Cool.
I will say though, it's going to be the reason this is so hard is because the World Cup in the middle of the season
That's going to be the
and the
biggest
delaying
factor,
of the Champions League.
which we will be talking about. Yeah.
How many players are healthy? How many players don't have the legs under them anymore?
Yep.
I think, yeah, we're going to touch base on that in another episode, but um, I think that's such a huge wrench into the league this year, or to
Such an
any
unknown.
league this year,
Yeah.
that Champions League is going to be unlike any other Champions League we've ever seen. So
100%. Cool. Really good, guys. I think that brings a wrap to it. It's been just over 2 hours. I think, the way that flowed. Really appreciate you guys in here. Morning, Jonesy. You're joining us just as we're ending here, but no problem. The VOD will be up, guys. We will be uploading it to YouTube. I've linked my Twitter as well as Michael's in my chat. I'd be happy to run over to Michael's chat and do that as well. So the links are in there if you guys want to keep up with both of us. From my end, I will sign off first, and then Michael can say his words as well. Appreciate the support as always, guys. This is our plan is to do this weekly, and if you guys are watching this on YouTube, feel free to come over and watch us on Twitch. We're both Football Manager content creators that just want to build a community where we can, talk about anything and everything, sports as well as life. So you know where to find us over on Twitch. Links will be in the description as always. But yeah, I would want to thank every single person in here for just even hanging out and lurking and commenting. You guys made this very fun. The plan is to do this every Thursday, couple hours in the evening, like we did today. So yeah, feedback appreciated from everyone. If anyone has anything to say, please let us know how you think today went. And from
Roast
me,
us in the comments.
yeah,
on
roast
YouTube.
us, tell us how shit our takes are. But no, honestly, I couldn't think of a better person to do this with, Michael. Shout out to you. I've told you
Thanks, man.
how much I respect you and I enjoy working with you, and I'm looking forward to building this partnership in the future. And that's all I have to say. Is there anything you want to say before we head off?
Oh, phenomenal, man! This was a lot of fun. I think we covered a lot of what we wanted to cover. But the chat tonight was amazing.
Absolutely.
Both your chat and my chat. I
Shout
kept
out to
an eye on
Michael's
yours
chat,
the whole time.
Cascadian, and everyone else in there as well. That the OGs.
Yes.
Yes.
We had a ton of involvement today, so I appreciate that, guys. Check us out on YouTube. Like I said, give us the feedback there. Let us know what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. Give us topic ideas, what you want to hear us talk about. If you have any ideas there that you want to see or any hot takes that you want to discuss, let us know. But the support was amazing for this being our first one together. H2, you're a phenomenal partner.
Appreciate it, brother.
And I think this content's only going to get better and better.
Yep.
So make sure you follow H2's Twitch channel. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. Make sure you follow my Twitter. Make sure you follow my Twitch channel.
Absolutely.
For updates. And you can constantly pester us about our hot takes from there. But I love you guys. It was amazing. So
Absolutely. Are you
thank
streaming
very,
tonight,
very
Michael?
much. I think I might pop on some Fall Guys if you want to join me and just kind of hang out. Just
Cool.
kind of have a fun time.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, guys, I'm gonna send you over to Michael because I need to get some stuff. Just I need to get some medicine in me because I have that cold that I'm dealing with. So we will sign off here for now, guys. Thank you for the support. Stay tuned because I will be raiding over to Michael. I think he's just staying live on this whole thing. So yeah, that's it for us, guys. Love you, appreciate you all. Until next time, take care of yourselves and stay tuned. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.